Welcome into a Friday edition of Running Points on ysnlive.com. It is a muggy and miserable Friday, and welcome to high school football. We're going to be with you till 3 o'clock, and then tonight, tonight we're going to have ourselves a good old time as we will essentially just say that we're going to have football out the wazoo on YSN. I will be over at Champion High School broadcasting the Champion Crestview game for those of you who are a fan of the Champion Golden Flashes or the Crestview Rebels, and you don't have a ticket to tonight's game in Champion. You can simply go to ysnlive.com. Click on schools. You get the drop box falling down. Click on Champion or Crestview. You would fill out the information using your credit card. Make sure you are using the device that you're planning on watching this game. It's $9.99 pay-per-view. $2.50 will go to the athletic department of the school that you chose. So if you're a Champion fan, $2.50 would go to the Champion Athletic Department. If you clicked on Crestview, $2.50 would go to the Crestview Athletic Department. You can watch the game and have a great time doing that. Now, if you'd choose not to do the pay-per-view, you can certainly go to ysnlive.com and tune in tonight from 7 to 10 o'clock for YSN's Audible Call with Mike Ackelson. Now, what is Audible Call, you ask? Well, think of the NFL, or think of the Sunday ticket, and part of the Sunday ticket being the Red Zone, where Anthony Siciliano, the host of the Red Zone, takes you all over the place to stadiums where the team is about ready to score a touchdown. That's exactly what we are going to do here at YSN. Mike Ackelson will take you all around the Mahoning Valley. We have, I believe, somewhere in the neighborhood of 20 games on schedule for tonight, and we will take you all around the Mahoning Valley. And when a game is in a position where a team is ready to score, boom, we'll go right there, and they'll pick up the video, pick up the audio, and go from there. Mike Ackelson is going to be manning the chair, and he'll be the captain on this show. It's Audible Call. It'll be tonight from 7 to 10 p.m. and every football Friday nights in the Mahoning Valley. So you definitely want to watch this. If you are not going to be investing in a football game with pay-per-view, this is free. You can go to ysnlive.com and you can watch Audible Call with Mike Ackelson, and you'll be updated. You will most definitely be updated throughout the evening with Mike Ackelson, as the stage is, the set, I should say, is in really good shape. They've got some really nice trinkets for Ackelson to play with as DJ Yokley comes into the studio. What's up, brother?
What an unbelievable night last night it was. That was my anxiety was through the roof. We've been pulling some late nights, some early mornings, but it's here. You know, did you think this day would come?
No, based on what I was saying all through the spring and summer, I didn't see this coming. I thought that Governor DeWine would shut it down, but he didn't. Now, 15% of capacity. I know there's plenty of people that are barking in my alma mater that they're pissed that they're not able to watch the game. Now, the good news is the Italian American Club in Leetonia on Main Street will take part in the pay-per-view, and they are going to be streaming that bad boy all over the Italian American Club TV set.
Did you get a free sausage sandwich for that plug or something?
I don't know. I don't know, but when Danny Guido and his girlfriend were talking about this, I looked at him and I said, you better be going through ysnlive.com. And they said, oh, absolutely we are. I said, all right, just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. I mean, we have 14 games tonight. The Waterloo Western Reserve game will not be played, and this is kind of breaking news, but it's being played, but not on YSN. The stands were condemned 2 years ago or somewhere along that timeline. There's no stands. We can't shoot with no stands. So it's one of those things where it's unfortunate. It's a situation that nobody likes right now. I talked to Mike over in Waterloo, and he said, it is what it is, and I know that the fans aren't going to be happy, but it's frustrating.
Could they let you park a car like 10 yards from the sideline and
I'm going to be honest with you. I looked up the price of scissor lifts.
Yeah.
And it just wasn't feasible, and there was an insurance problem with that too. So
Sure. It is pouring down rain right now.
It is. We're going to get wet tonight.
Yeah.
It's going to be a little bit soggy. So, but you know what that means? It's going to be some good football because when the rain's coming down, the pigskin gets slick. So.
Yeah, this should be an awful lot of fun. Let's go to the phone lines. The MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning hotline is open, 330-886-0813. You're on the Friday edition of Running Point. What's going on? Hello. Yeah, okay, goodbye.
So last night, little hiccup.
Yeah.
On YSN.
Yeah, that's because you crashed your site.
Yeah, 22,000 came storming the castle of ysnlive.com last night, and it kind of opened some eyes, not only internally but externally. And listen, I'll take the heat. I will, because we did testing, but sometimes you prepare for a test and they throw a question that you never even heard of, and I credit the YS Nation because, my goodness, did they show up in droves last night. 22,000 people tuning in to numerous games and stories, and on social media. I credit your partner here, Anthony Hartwig, who not here on Fridays because he's going to be doing kind of double duty for us, but he did a great job on the social media front of letting everybody know what is happening. We try to be fully transparent with everybody. Sure. Because it's the toughest thing in the world, because the majority of us are wearing 15 different hats. So it's not like I'm back here at the studio waiting for something to go wrong. I was at Niles in a great game with Jefferson, and Anthony was at home, and he was doing a great job of keeping up. Brian did an excellent job. And then I want to credit iSynergy, who are our digital media partners, because 8 minutes to restore a website is unheard of. And people think it's just like some button that you push, and it's a
little deeper than that.
A little bit deeper when you're dealing with 22,000 people. So tonight we are anticipating. You talked about the audible call. So the beautiful thing about this is you can utilize not only the audible call on one device, but you can still make your purchase, watch your game all the way through, and watch everybody else's game, like you do on a Red Zone Sunday. So you can have multiple devices going. One's free, but you can still go watch the game that you want to watch and watch all the action from it. So that's what we're encouraging people to do, because, again, like you said, 25% goes right back to the school.
Sure.
So that's the exciting thing. I think we're going to have probably a stellar night tonight, probably a record night.
To give everyone an idea of what happened, if you were to sit back and construct a stadium, and your stadium holds X amount of people, and it's a little bit smaller than 22,000. Well, you flooded 22,000 last night. Keep in mind, folks, that's for 5 games. We have 3 times as much, or close to 3 times as many games tonight. And on a normal Friday night, we'll have 5 times the amount of games. So obviously, the stadium needed to be a little bit bigger. So we've moved the stadium to a very large stadium where now you're not going to have that problem ever again.
We went from, what's the smallest stadium around here?
Oh, I would say Lowellville or Leetonia.
Okay, so we went from one of those schools to basically AT&T Stadium in Dallas. Like, we're prepared for, I'm told we're prepared for everything. I trust Steve Cross and iSynergy with everything I have, because he was the one that was impressed. He's like, and like when you pose that, like, I should have been mad, but I was overwhelmed and I was overjoyed, because that means we're doing a good job of being able to bring people to our site, and people love it.
That's where you don't get mad at this. You're just like, okay, I'm a little disappointed that we're off the air for a few minutes, but damn, this is great, because now all of these people are realizing what we have been trying to nail home for the last 2 or 3 weeks, that with the 15% capacity, and many, many thanks to the OHSAA for finally realizing that at least this year there needs to be video. This now we're fully prepared and we know what to expect.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to the phone lines. Champ, you're on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. What's up, brother?
First of all, let me congratulate you guys for taking us to a level of high school football that, as you know, that I was involved a long time ago with Clear Channel when we had a really good setup audio-wise. We could, get the audio and then tell the scores, the Friday Night Football thing. And now we're advanced to something that I thought was would come someday, and that's being able to see this visually. And it's just fantastic. And I think that I feel the excitement in your voices because you guys are a big part of this. And it's just something that we're in a new technology now, and it's just great that you guys can bring high school football in a totally different medium now to the fans.
Thank you very much. That means a lot coming from you, champ.
I know that I'm looking forward to seeing how Mike Ackelson is going to be able to captain this ship, the USS Audible Call, because this is going to be all kinds of fun. And if I weren't doing a game tonight, I would certainly love to see on ysnlive.com. And I am not going to even try to go on my smartphone to ysnlive.com and look at it because I have a couple of things I got to do with the Crestview Champion game. But
just a couple.
Yeah, just a couple. But man, I am really looking forward to hearing the reviews and hearing the fans about their opinion on what we're going to do tonight because this is going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I kind of dabbed in Vinny.com a few years back. We had a 2 or 3 year run at this with the podcast and just giving the scores, but you guys have taken it to a whole new level. But don't get too good because eventually fans are going to want to come back to the stands. We don't want to have everyone sitting at home and not going to the ball game. So, but just kidding. But this is, I'm really happy that they're able to play high school football. The bottom line, and we're lucky, fortunate right now, and keep our fingers crossed because there's going to be obviously some setbacks. Possibly, but it's good for these kids to get out and be able to play, and it's so important to this community on a Friday night, as you know.
You know what the craziest part? So I was at the Niles Jefferson game last night, and it didn't really we talk about the masks in the stands for volleyball. That's close quarters. The weirdest thing about last night was when the home team scored, the band didn't play. It was like the atmosphere is completely different. Like the cheers are still there, but there was no excitement. You know what I mean? It was just like watching. I don't know. It was hard to describe. The vibe, the atmosphere is different. You'll find out tonight, Ron.
It's more of a golf atmosphere.
I would say like a 7th and 8th grade football game.
Okay.
So there's you don't have a band for that, and the fans are scattered out. But that was kind of what it was like, and it was still cool. Don't get me wrong, because anytime we have sports, like Champ said, is a good day. But it was like there was a couple moments, and I kind of caught myself like, what is this? Like this isn't the Friday nights or Thursday nights that we're accustomed to in the Valley where things are rattling and rolling. So if you were lucky enough to get a ticket, you're going to experience that. And Ron, you'll have it tonight, and I'm going to warn everybody, it's a little bit weird. Like you'll catch yourself kind of like, whoa.
Yeah. I was going to say this is going to be bizarre week number 1 because for a lot of reasons, all of which you've just mentioned. And to Champ's point, week 1 to week 2, this is where we cross our fingers and we really, really hope that there's no COVID outbreak, that everybody is going to be reasonably ready to go. And but you can expect, Harding was preparing for Cleveland Heights earlier in the week. They find out, they're gone. We're going to play Benedictine instead.
Right.
Yeah, I'm sure that there's going to be some teams in the Mahoning Valley that are going to get a late scratch and a late opponent announced to them 4 or 5 days before game time.
Yeah, and to take all of this to the next level and kind of circle it back to YSN, because that's my job, is basically we're about 12:15, so we have embarked, and I know Champ's going to be the first one on the boat, but we've embarked on a 12-hour journey that you don't have to leave YSN for the next 11 hours and 45 minutes because it is nonstop football action. We're going to have a post on our social media site here just letting you know. We already outlined it earlier last night on Facebook, or this morning, which one it was. I can't keep it straight anymore. But, 12 hours, Ron. 12 hours, and you're going to be part of it. You started it, and you're going to finish it tonight with ACK. If I that's correct, right? You're coming back.
Yeah, I'm coming back.
And you'll have the Joe Dickey Electric Scoreboard show with ACK and Nick, and we'll have some fun with that. I'll have some coaches call in.
Yeah, it should be an awful lot of fun, and well, you might have the arithmetic wrong. Are we here till 11, or are we here till midnight?
We have stuff till midnight. You're welcome to stay as long as you like, or leave whenever you need. But,
Okay.
But I mean, it's going to be a long day. I was here at 8, and I was here till 4:30 this morning.
There you go.
So
Yeah.
I'm going to go take a nap.
Yeah, you need to take a nap. All right, Champ, what else is on your mind, brother?
Well, I'll just say this: with all this now, with you guys on Friday, and we eventually have college and pro going, the most important thing in my life right now is going to be my recliner. I'm going to have to figure out a way to, like what George Costanza have, a way to put drinks in, a little refrigerator on the side, maybe put a little oven in the bottom of the recliner. But it's not doing very well for my health, though, and getting in shape, though, sitting and doing all this. So thanks a lot for that. But it's exciting, and it's just something that I envisioned. I thought we could do in high school football. I didn't think it'd come this quick and this early. But congratulations, and as they say in the theater, break a leg tonight.
Yeah, this is something I'm sure you and I talked about this not too long ago, and I had always said when I was at iHeart, audible call or something of that nature, a part of it, because obviously if you're on the radio, you wouldn't have the video part of it, but to be the radio version of this, where you would give scores, but this with the video, this takes it to a whole new level, and obviously we're going to try to emulate the NFL Network, or not the NFL Network. We're going to try to emulate the Red Zone that you see every Sunday as part of the DirecTV package. Now, the thing with Andrew Siciliano has maximum 15 games. Tonight, about the same amount of games, but on a typical Friday night, Mike Ackelson and the boys back here at ysnlive.com are going to have about 10 more games than a typical NFL game. So we'll be a little bit busier trying to go from place to place to place to place. But the theme is going to be if someone is in the red zone, then they're going to be going to that venue. And if there's multiple teams in the red zone, then you're going to be going back and forth. And like I said, I really want to see how well Ack is going to be captaining the USS Audible call tonight.
Yeah, it'd be like he has to be like Captain Kirk at the Enterprise, kind of that setting where he's got this big thing right in the middle with everything going around, all the buttons. But I tell you what, and that sounds like that would be, and you're a broadcaster, and it sounds like that would be something that would be fun to do, to sit there and be able to just relay information out and switch to game. That would be kind of something to sit down and almost like being part of the game or being a middle linebacker or a quarterback. You're going to be right there with all the action. So he's going to have a fun time tonight. I'm sure he'll do a tremendous job.
Yeah, and as DJ said, this is free on ysnlive.com. But if you want to invest $9.99 and go watch a pay-per-view football game, if you have two devices going at the same time, let's say you have a laptop and you have a iPad, you can watch one with the game that you're wanting to watch, and the other one you can watch the Audible call. So you know, if you have multiple devices that you can see multiple things on YSN, go for it. Have at it.
All right, I'll close with this. You're a Tiger fan this weekend because the Tigers are playing the Twins for the first time, and it'll be fun to watch. But I'm looking forward to that series to see if the Tigers how they handle things. They've been hanging around, but they are getting some young kids that are coming up to play, which is a good thing for them.
Well, Champ, they took 2 out of 3 from Cleveland, and if they play like they played against the Indians, they should be in pretty decent shape.
Yeah, they just took out of 3 against the Cubs, who have a pretty good lineup. But Detroit's very young still, and the best players aren't there yet. But it is encouraging, and I think the rebuilding process is over in Detroit. Now it's time to play these kids and see what they got.
Yeah, it's time for the kids to sink or swim, and not all of the prospects are going to turn out to be as good as advertised. Some of them are going to take a couple steps backward, and they'll probably need more seasoning in AAA Toledo or AA Erie. But at the end of the day, hey, Detroit has they're in the boat that Chicago was in 2018, where you're going to take your lumps, 2019, you're going to be better, but then 2020 with the White Sox, I said, everyone watch out. The White Sox are going to be a tough team. I'm thinking by 2022, the Tigers are going to be where the White Sox are right now. And if the Indians and Twins and White Sox can all continue to play on that caliber of baseball that they're playing right now, Kansas City is in the same boat as Detroit. They're about where Detroit is. So the American League Central Division in 2022 could be a unbelievable free-for-all.
Yeah, if you look at their records now overall compared to other divisions, they're doing pretty well because Kansas City's record's not that bad. And I think after this season, the only guy under contract for Detroit is Cabrera. So they're going to have a lot of money available to fill in the spots where maybe these prospects don't make it, especially on the offensive side. But I'm just glad they're playing, and I just hope that they continue the league, this Major League Baseball continues to get this thing done, and hopefully we have a good playoffs and World Series.
You know, and you know, I'm selfish when I say this because I'm a huge fan of Miguel Cabrera. I just hope and pray somewhere along the line Miggy is able to get back to a better portion of what we saw in his 20s and early 30s when he was the most dominant player in Major League Baseball. I don't think you're ever going to see that triple crown caliber player again. But if you can get something a little bit better than what Miguel Cabrera is right now, and maybe it's he has to lose 20 pounds and get into a little bit better shape, but he looks like an old man right now, and hopefully this is not father time getting another victim. Hopefully Miggy comes into shape or comes into camp next year and plays the 21 season about 20 pounds lighter. I'd love to see that.
Well, he's had a good week after the Cleveland series, and he's hitting the ball hard, but his legs are in better shape. He doesn't have the pain he had in the legs. But a lot has to do with the guys around him. If they can get some better players around him, then he might see some better pitches. But he's come across some milestones now. He's getting close to 3,000 hits, 500 homers. He's 20th now on the all-time RBI list. So it's going to be fun to see some of the people he passes in these last 2 years or 3 years of his career because he deserves it. He's had a tremendous career, and I arguably, one of the greatest right-handers since I've seen in my lifetime.
Well, and he's one of the nicest guys I've ever had the fortune of being around and meeting. And I saw him as an 18-year-old in the Florida State League. I saw him as a 19-year-old in Double-A in the Southern League. He's a great kid. And I just hope that the final 2-3 years of his career, he goes out in a lot better shape, and hopefully he makes a serious push towards 600, though I think he'll probably fall short. He should get 3,000 hits. He's definitely a first ballot Hall of Famer. He's Manny Ramirez, Alex Rodriguez, Albert Pujols, Mike Trout. If I'm talking about 5 hitters that I've seen on the right side of the dish since I became a fan in the early 70s, those are probably the 5 best guys that I've ever seen on the right side of the batter's box.
Yep. All right. Good luck, guys. Good luck tonight. You guys have fun. It'll be, despite the rain, it'll be, I think, a really nice night for football.
Amen to that. Champ, thanks for the call, brother. Appreciate
You're
it.
welcome.
All right. MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning hotline is open, 330-886-0813. It is a phone-in Friday, and our phone-in Friday is brought to you, as always, by MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning. Coming up on the show today, Niles head football coach Jim Perry will be calling the show at 1 o'clock as we talk about Niles' victory over Jefferson. That game was short. They canceled the game in the third quarter. There was plenty of storms and activities and whatnot, and Mother Nature shortened the game. But Niles was able to get a big victory over Jefferson in their opening game last night, 35-3. Coming up at 1:20 this afternoon, we will hear from the head football coach of the Canfield Cardinals, Mike Pavlansky. Coach Pavlansky and the Canfield Cardinals threw up a goose egg on Howland as they beat the Howland Tigers last night, 23-0. Coach Pav saw enough of where they need to improve on some things, and even though the final score was, one-sided at 23-0, still a lot of things that you definitely need to work on. So we will catch up with the head football coach of the Canfield Cardinals, Mike Pavlansky. Chris Biebel will be chiming in at 2 o'clock. We're going to talk Indians baseball, and we'll get to some other things with Biebs as well. The Indians open up a weekend series with the St. Louis Cardinals. By the way, kudos to the Pirates for sweeping a doubleheader off of St. Louis last night. The Bucs got wins 8 and 9 on the campaign, swept a doubleheader from the St. Louis Cardinals. So the Cardinals staying at home because that game was at Busch Stadium last night, or those two games were, and they'll stay at home as they open up a weekend series with the Indians. Tristan McKenzie on the hill for the Indians, 8:15 game time, as the Indians and the Chicago White Sox are both trying to take aim at the Minnesota Twins. They are both within a half a game of the Minnesota Twins in the American League Central Division, as the Tribe, with a victory tonight, hoping that Detroit can take care of the Minnesota Twins, as Minnesota is a half a game better than the White Sox and the Indians. Detroit 5.5 games out of first place. They've won their last 2 games. Kansas City 7.5 games off the pace. But Minnesota taking on Detroit. The Indians are taking on St. Louis. And, well, by the end of the night, the Indians could very well be in first place. We'll see what happens. All right, running down the rest of the scores from last night, McDonald knocked off Sebring 40-6. And the one game that we had, and again, Louisville is out of Stark County, and they took a journey down to Dover and lost to Dover 19-10. I know that a lot of folks in Louisville were wondering, because this team is rebuilding a little bit. And I guess that's a wrong word to say, because Louisville reloads. They don't rebuild. That's a solid program. Dover's a damn good football team. And if you're only losing by 9 points, that's a good account. That's a strong effort by Louisville. So they got nothing to hang their hats on for sure, as they will try to pick up the pieces and move on to week number 2 of this shortened 6-week season. Made mention plenty of games in high school football tonight. Let's get to the schedule. East is going to be traveling to the Cleveland suburbs. They will be playing University School. That is a 5 o'clock start this afternoon. So the East High Golden Bears will be playing this afternoon. That's a 5 o'clock start, as they are up in the Cleveland suburbs taking on University School. I believe that is southeast of Cleveland. I'm almost certain of that. The other non-conference games, Boardman will be playing Fitch. Villa Angela St. Joe's will be coming down from Cleveland into Portage County as they take on the G-Men from Garrettsville Garfield. Steubenville will be traveling up Route 7 as Reno and the boys will be coming into Youngstown to take on Cardinal Mooney. That game will be played at Stambaugh Stadium. That is a 7 o'clock start. Warrensville Heights, another suburban Cleveland school. They will be traveling a little south and a little east as they go into Mollenkopf Stadium in Warren to take on Warren JFK. In the Northeast 8 Conference, Struthers is at Hubbard, Poland is at South Range, and Girard is at Lakeview. All of those games starting at 7 o'clock. In the Mahoning Valley Athletic Conference Gray Tier tonight, Crestview is at Champion, Liberty is at Brookfield, and LeBray is at Camel. All 3 of those games will start at 7 o'clock. In the Mahoning Valley Athletic Conference Scarlet Tier, Springfield is at Mineral Ridge, and Western Reserve is at Waterloo. As DJ mentioned, there will not be a broadcast on YSN involving Western Reserve and Waterloo. The reason why, the stands at Waterloo were condemned 2 years ago, and well, there is no room and no place to put the broadcast. There's no stand, so therefore you don't necessarily have a place where we can put all of our stuff and whatnot. You have to have a press box or something to put your stuff down. And I jokingly said, hey, why don't you just park a car about 10 feet from the sideline and go from there? Well, obviously, you're not going to do that. God forbid someone were to run out of bounds and run into your car, or or better yet, have a pass incomplete, go into the sideline, and the ball goes off of your window and destroys it. Let's go to Emmanuel. Emmanuel, you're on MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. What's up, brother?
Well, besides my weight, my blood pressure, and my bills, how you doing?
well, I will tell you. I will tell you, my weight is down, but my blood pressure it gets regulated because of my high blood pressure medicine, and my bills are they're still through the roof.
Yeah, that's pretty much. I'm 2 out of 3, like Meatloaf, because I had my monthly doctor's appointment today. So I'm doing a lot. I'm doing okay.
There you go.
But, I wanted to talk to you about the Yankees, but first of all, I love that conversation that you had with Champ. But then again, you guys kind of confused me, where you said a Vivo man had a girlfriend. I didn't think that was possible, but that's another story. I was sitting in the stands yesterday, and it was strange, because I'm watching Lawrence G. Harding, practice and everything, and like there's, even if they're not on the field, they're socially distanced. They got the stands already marked. The first 3 rows by the aisle, no one can sit there. Then they got every other one. It was kind of interesting, but I will tell you this: football was still the same on the field. And and I've been trying to follow. Eventually we were supposed to play Kent McKinley. This was the last time of the series, because remember they worked on Benson Field, the NFL did. So
sure.
they came to Warren for 2 straight years, and this was the last year. And I think we could have got them, because I tell people we had them last year, but they got us in the fourth quarter, and our quarterback threw for over 300 yards against those guys, and he's coming back.
No question. Look, I'm looking forward to seeing what Warren Harding can do. But, you were supposed to start the season, and this was pre-COVID. The schedule was out. You guys were going to play Canton McKinley. Okay, COVID hits. We have a virus now. All right, you got to scramble a little bit. All right, let's put together a 6-game schedule. So Harding put together their 6-game schedule, and they had Cleveland Heights for a Friday night up in Cleveland. That was supposed to be a road game. And then Cleveland Heights, they're not playing football this week or this year. I'm not sure which one. So Harding was left scrambling. Now, fortunately for them, a reasonably solid program in Cleveland, Catholic school, Cleveland Benedictine, they didn't have an opponent. So Harding and Benedictine quickly hammered out a contract. So Saturday night, Benedictine comes to Mollenkopf Stadium. Warren Harding gets a home game, an extra home game out of the deal, and you get a reasonably tougher opponent from Cleveland Heights to Cleveland Benedictine. So it works out well in so many different ways for Harding. They'll be tested a lot more, plus they're going to be playing in front of their home folks.
Yeah, Benedictine. Remember last year they gave Hoban what for? As a matter of fact, that's when Hoban's running back. I think he was supposed to go to Alabama. He got hurt in that game, so that's a very good program. The last time I watched him play, I hate the name drop, man, but they put it on Hubbard. That's a very good program. It's a very good team, and right out the gate, we're getting ready to find out what we got going. I got my tickets. Right, but I tried to stay away from the team as much as I could, because I don't want to be the guy, that brought something to them and they couldn't play. So I kept my distance. As what you've been known to say, I don't want to put the kibosh on them.
Exactly. You don't want to put the kibosh on anybody. So you keep your distance and you watch as a fan, and hopefully Harding does their thing on Saturday night. They play Benedictine, they beat Benedictine, and you move on to week number 2.
Cardinal Mooney. I got the tickets for that one too. That's at home too.
There you go. Now, how many tickets are the band members and the football players getting at Harding this year?
If you are a senior, your allotment is 4 tickets. If you're an underclassman, it's 2 tickets.
Okay.
And I got a daughter in the band, so I got my 2 tickets. But see, it's still football. Like I tell everybody, everybody make a big deal about sports, about people in the stands and everything, but you know me, Ronnie. I'm about what's happening on the field, and we need to keep reminding people that we're talking about 15, 16, and 17-year-old young men.
Yep.
You know, and so that's the key to it. But let me ask you the question. I've been asking you for almost a better part of a decade, because over a decade ago, like you used to always tell me, the Yankees wasn't, what was the word you say, relevant?
Yeah, the Yankees were a solid program in the early 21st century, and they're playing some good baseball right now. But, you know, unfortunately, the dagger for the Yankees right now was when Severino went down and ultimately had to get Tommy John surgery, and there's no guarantee that he's going to be back in 2021. He's probably going to start the season on the injured list, and you might get him toward the end of the first half, beginning of the second half, but it's probably going to be 2022 before you see the Severino that we were looking forward to seeing in 2020, and that's a damn shame for the Yankees, because if Severino's in this rotation, now you have Cole, who's done a reasonably good job. He's been hit around lately, but he's done a reasonably nice job in New York. You'd have Cole, Severino, and Tanaka's having a good year as well. But the rest of that rotation, Montgomery's been average to below average. Jay Happ is, I mean, he's pedestrian. It's just unfortunate.
Happ is not healthy. You know, we need a healthy left-handed pitcher. But the question I want to ask you, like I ask you every year about this time, do you think the Yankees can win it, but just by hitting home runs and banging the ball off the wall? Do we have enough pitching? What do you think?
No, you don't. You don't even have close to the amount of pitching you're going to need for the postseason. You can't put Cole out there every single game in the series, and Tanaka's look good, so you got two starters, but that's it. This is where Severino's injury really hurts the Yankees, because if Severino's healthy, okay, now I can see where you can be in really good shape in a 5-game series and in pretty decent shape in a 7-game series. But without Severino, now you only have two good pitchers, and Tanaka I'm still not sold on. He's getting up in age, but he's shutting me up right now because he's had a pretty nice season. But between he and Cole, that's it. Your rotation is below average after that, and I think Tampa Bay's a better team overall because they got better pitching. I think Minnesota, Cleveland, and Chicago of all teams would give the Yankees all kinds of fits. I think Oakland might be the best team in the American League right now, even though I think their luck is going to run out sooner or later. But the Yankees, prior to Monday, and they only have a few days left because it's today's the 28th. The deadline is the 31st.
Monday.
Yankees need to
deadline.
Yeah, Yankees need to get on the horn and get someone to give up a starting pitcher. And I know for a fact that they have been calling Antonetti up and trying to pry Clevenger out of Cleveland, and Antonetti, they were born, but they weren't born yesterday. So they're going to ask for everything under the sun if they're going to give up Clevenger to an American League team. So we'll wait and see what happens.
The bottom line about that, I kind of hope they don't do that. You know, number one, I don't like the way he is in the clubhouse, and you know it's awful hard to pitch in New York. I mean, one of the best pitchers in baseball at the time, Randy Johnson, they chewed him up and spit him out. And far as, you know, talking about the great pitching staff, you know, and your buddy Antonio over there, I know he's listening and smiling. The Cleveland Indians had the Yankees down 2-0 in a 5-game series, and what happened, Ron?
Yeah, their defense crapped on themselves, their pitching crapped on themselves, and their clutch hitting crapped on themselves. It just, you know, it is what it is. Now, I would sit back and say Bauer pitched a great game in Game 3, and if Aaron Judge isn't playing in right field, the Yankees get swept because I still think Lindor's home run would have been a home run if Judge isn't in right field, but he's so damn big and he's got those long arms, he was able to reach up and make the catch. Anyone else, probably not. So, but yeah, you got to tip your hat to the Yankees. And you know, I was there. I was fortunate to cover games 1, 2, and 5, and I saw the first 2 games where the Indians won, and I was there for the Yankees beating the Indians in Game 5, and I was there to basically stick a knife into the New York media when I told or asked Joe Girardi, what does it feel like to essentially get revenge on a number of naysayers that thought you guys were completely out of the picture, and I made no bones to say, i.e. the New York media.
Well, the bottom line is, inside baseball, Eric Boland's still laughing about that.
Oh, I know he is. Trust me, I know he is. He gave me a look when I said that, and I put a smirk on my face. So he and I have had a good chuckle over that.
Well, I tell people when it comes to baseball, I defer to you, and when it comes to stats, I defer to Champ. So I'm asking you now, overall, when you're looking at Major League Baseball, do you think that the era of the big time contracts is over for a couple, 3, 4, 5 years?
I think it's going to be over momentarily because obviously the amount of money that the owners are going to be losing with no fans in the stands. I think that's going to certainly affect the free agent market this year. It wouldn't surprise me if there are a lot of guys that are free agents sign a 1-year deal. It wouldn't surprise me at all. And I think that if you're an agent of one of those players that is going into free agency, I wouldn't want to sign a long-term deal because you're not going to get a lot of money. I think the owners are going to be very, very frugal in terms of trying to sign guys to long-term deals and paying an enormous amount of money. And it might be that way going into 2022, which could very well benefit the Indians in their quest to try to lock up Francisco Lindor. I mean, we'll see what happens. This is going to be an interesting offseason for a lot of teams. And just an off season in general, because I don't believe the money is going to be there for the players to get paid as much as they have in the past, Emmanuel.
Yeah, well, I think Mookie just got the last big one. But speaking of money, you look at the Yankees payroll, right? We're paying a few guys a lot of money. So and we have all these injuries. Even the DJ is hurt, right? So we don't complain. We say the next man up.
Yeah. We
really don't have the money, and we really shouldn't give away our prospects just to bring a pitcher in. I just don't, because 8 teams make the playoffs?
Yeah, 8 teams make the playoffs, man. But let's be honest for a second. I mean, if you don't have pitching in the postseason, you're not going to go anywhere. You have to have some semblance of pitching. If you have a lockdown starting rotation and a lockdown bullpen, there's a pretty good chance you're going to go to the World Series unless your offense is complete garbage. And that's where the Indians are right now. If the Indians are able to score 4 or more runs, they're virtually an unbeatable team. It's when they score 2 or fewer runs when they're a very average team at best. The Yankees are a completely different entity. Yeah, you've got all kinds of boppers when everyone's healthy, but you're not going to be able to outslug elite teams 12, 11, 11, 10. You're going to have to be able to, at some point in time, to get some pitching, and that's where, if you're the Yankees and you believe that you have enough offense to make a serious run and go into the World Series, then you got to add one more starting pitcher and roll the dice with the bullpen and see what happens there.
Well, I talked about it when they first did it, 2 things, and me and you discussed it before. Number one, the Yankees made it fashionable for their starters just to go 5 innings.
Yeah.
5.5, maybe, and then a lot of teams are doing that now because we have a lockdown closer. I'm glad he's back. He's gonna get better, and we have decent, middle relief. So I think we need to get healthy more than bringing another pitcher. I think we need to stand pat. I think we're going to be okay because this year, out of all the years that I can remember in baseball, it doesn't matter if you win your division. It gives you home field, but without anybody in the stands, what's home field?
Well, and the other thing is keep an eye on Major League Baseball possibly going into a bubble in the postseason, and if that's the case, then home field means nothing because you're playing on a neutral site. All you're getting is your last at bats.
Yeah, that's a good thing. And one more last thing, Ron. I found out yesterday. I would have called you yesterday. I still thought you was doing Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. You going Monday through Friday?
Yeah,
brother, you gotta let us. You gotta let us know, man.
I'm trying to. I lost your number, so now you texted me yesterday or a couple days ago. Did you not?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yes,
I will keep your number and store it because I have a tendency to go through my texts without recognizing who they are or what number it is, and I have a bad habit of that.
You guys are doing. I mean, you guys are why I'm saying you guys are moving in leaps or bounds. You guys are doing unbelievable things. I know you guys had what you call a business model. I know you guys had a plan, but you guys had no idea, what was going to happen with this many people. And then I'm watching you guys on TV. You guys are doing a great job. And Ronnie, I'm gonna say something. I very seldom say. You've been knowing me for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm impressed.
Well, listen, this is a perfect storm. YSN got the boost that they needed to get from the OHSAA. I can't even begin to tell you, Emmanuel, how incredibly important it was for the OHSAA to finally lift the blackouts and the video rule that they had. It was archaic, and it doesn't make any sense. Now they're doing it this year. I don't know if the OHSAA is going to do it again next year because, well, let's be honest. If we kick COVID to the curb and everyone is able to go back to watching the games on a Friday night at the stadium, you're not going to have as much people tuning into YSN or going on to the pay-per-view. But this is a perfect storm. And we're enjoying this perfect storm because everything is falling into place where I truly believe the fans that are not able to get a ticket, they're going to be able to see the game and grab your snacks and your ballpark food and just watch the game, whether it be on your iPad, your laptop, your home computer, your
watch. Nowadays, your watch.
Yeah, your smartphone, your watch, whatever. just watch the game and enjoy. And the other thing, and I need to promote this again. If you don't want to invest $9.99 in a pay-per-view, we do have a free service on ysnlive.com, and the free service is going to be Audible Call with Mike Ackelson. Obviously, we would hope that everyone has multiple gadgets going where you watch your particular high school team or your favorite high school team on one screen, and then on the other gadget, you're watching Audible Call with Mike Ackelson in charge of the USS Audible Call. Because
another that was another good pickup. That was a great pickup.
Well,
and two more things. I'm gonna let you go. Right. Number one, how's your dog doing?
He's a hurting pup. He got a allergy attack, and ragweed has been god awful this summer. And I was a little disappointed because I thought he had been scratching himself because he got ear mites. Well, as it turns out, I finally was able to get him to the vets because they have been swamped. I mean, they have been absolutely swamped because ragweed and allergies have been horrible this year for the pets. So they let me know, no, his ears the ear canals and everything are clear, and he's in really good shape from that regard. He got hit really bad with allergies, so they loaded him up with steroids. I got cream that I have to put on his ears for all the places that he scratched, and he's got a lot of infections. So because he scratched so much, so he's got a medicine that he's going to take for the next 2 weeks for that. He's got steroids that he's going to be taking. He's got cream on his ears. He's got all kinds of different stuff going on. So I got to buy about 5 jars of peanut butter, and I hope and pray that the dog isn't sick of peanut butter. Otherwise, I'm going to have to figure out.
What is peanut butter for?
Well, I got to hide the pills so he can eat the peanut butter and then take the pills. So hopefully he does not get sick of peanut butter because I I will run out of things to give him otherwise.
Well, the last thing I want to ask you, right, is it okay for me to call you for one of these football games and tell you what's going on?
Well, I mean, I'm going to be here. I want to say after my game, I'm going to be driving down from Champion. I'll be with Ackelson in studio somewhere around 10:30 tonight. So I don't know if we have phone calls that we're accepting or not. I'm going to have to talk with DJ about that. I don't know if we're. I believe we are taking phone calls. So if we are, just call in. Absolutely.
Oh, okay. Well, once again, man, it's good that sports are back, man. It's good that you're doing okay, your family, and man, life is good, my brother.
Yeah,
life
well, it
good.
is. Hey, listen, it's good. It's and it's going to get a whole lot better. I mean, now we got a serious storm going on here in East Palestine. It's raining sideways, but I mean, as long as the rain holds off for this evening and we get a relatively decent night with no rain, I would be extremely happy.
I say great football weather. You guys have a great weekend, my brother. Much love to you, man.
I appreciate it,
later,
Emmanuel.
dude.
See ya. Emmanuel checking in on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline, which is open, 330-886-0813. Jim Perry from Niles will be checking in at 1 o'clock. Niles got a lightning-shortened victory over Jefferson last night as they opened up Northeast 8 conference play. Niles with an impressive 35-3 victory over Jefferson. So we will catch up with the head football coach of the Niles Red Dragons, Jim Perry, coming up at 1 o'clock. Coming up at 1:20, Mike Pavlansky, the head football coach of the Canfield Cardinals, will be checking in. Canfield opened up their season with a impressive victory as they knocked off Howland. Now, those two teams are independents, and I'll be curious to see how long they're independents. But with a 6-game schedule this year, you didn't have to go and play 10 games or try to search 10 games. With the COVID world in which we're in, the season cut to 6 games. So Canfield and Howland playing game 1 of a 6-game schedule, and Canfield knocked off Howland last night 23-0. We'll catch up with Coach Pavlansky at 1:20. And then we'll take a break from high school football. Chris Biebel will be calling in. He is Munch Bishop's producer. You can hear Munch mornings 6 to 9, if I'm not mistaken, on 1350 The Gambler up in Cleveland. And I believe you can hear 1350 up in Trumbull County and parts of northern Mahoning County. That was the station that used to be in Akron, and they moved their facilities up with the rest of the iHeartMedia Cleveland stations. So 1350 The Gambler is now a Cleveland station. But Chris Biebel, who is Munch's producer, he's a big baseball fan, so we'll be talking Major League Baseball. We'll also be talking the National Football League, and a little statistic for everyone, and maybe a sign of encouragement for everyone as well. The National Football League had a bunch of COVID tests between August the 12th and August the 20th. So these tests go from 16 days ago to 8 days ago. And the tests from August 12th through August 20th came back with no positive tests for COVID. And that's a gigantic step in the right direction for the National Football League. Again, the NFL, like Major League Baseball, they will not be in a bubble. But the National Football League, as of right now, and again, these tests go back about 8 to 16 days ago. They made some tests August 12th through August the 20th, and in those 8 days, there were 0 positive tests for COVID. So I think that's fantastic news, and hopefully the news continues to be good for the National Football League. Again, there's going to be plenty of NFL teams that will not have fans in the stands for at least the first 2 home games. I know the Indians, the Browns, the Steelers, and the Bills. All 3 teams have said they will not have fans in the stands for at least the first 2 home games of the 2020 campaign. But again, the news was good from the National Football League, where tests were performed between August 12th and August 20th. 0 positive tests for COVID amongst the National Football League players and amongst the coaching staff. So that is great news. And hopefully, fingers crossed, pray to the football gods, small g, that the 0 continues for the COVID positive tests. All right, 330-886-0813. The MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning hotline will be filled in a matter of a couple of minutes. Jim Perry from Niles will be chiming in. The Niles Red Dragons get a victory over Jefferson last night, opening up the Northeast 8 Conference play. Red Dragons a 35-3 winner over Jefferson, as Niles was able to put together some pretty nice drives and a good punt return by Noah Durr, and all added up to a 35-3 victory. We will catch up with the victorious head coach of the Niles Red Dragons, Jim Perry. That is coming up momentarily. You are listening to a Football Friday edition of Running Point. It's a football night in the Mahoning Valley, and our Football Friday edition of Running Point brought to you, as always, by MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning. Back with head coach Jim Perry of the Niles Red Dragons. That's coming up next. Stick around. More to come. You are listening to Running Point on ysnlive.com.
21 News.
Let's get right to our top story tonight.
More experienced reporters
A new Wilmington restaurant.
Lordstown.
telling more local stories
We'll look at efforts
Boy
to
is
curb
recovering from a broken.
around our valley.
Community in Niles.
We are here in Youngstown, right up.
Because you expect
Important for everyone. No place like home.
more local news.
In Mercer County Court.
21 News is our valley's #1 local news.
Welcome home to a home made homier with Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods. Inspiration starts at BairdBrothers.com and is turned into reality when high-quality hardwoods are delivered right to your home. Baird Brothers has the latest design trends: shiplap and skinny lap interior siding, antique oak rustic flooring, and, well, you'll find them all at BairdBrothers.com. Ordered easily, delivered conveniently, enjoyed comfortably. BairdBrothers.com.
Hello, I'm Greg Burbick with G. Burbick Farms. For the last 100 years, my family has farmed in the Columbiana and Mahoning counties. I began raising cattle in 1996 with the goal of providing a better product for you and your family on the dinner table. Our grass-fed and grain-supplemented Black Angus beef are raised with no hormones, steroids, or antibiotics. We're known for our hometown-friendly service and incredible tasting products. We're locally owned and have customers across the tri-state area. Our products go from our farm to your family. Stop by our farm on New Buffalo Road or visit us on the web at gburbickfarms.com. Don't forget to like us on Facebook. G. Burbick Farms, it just tastes better.
It's a Football Friday in the Mahoning Valley, and a phone-in Friday at that. It's our football/phone-in Friday edition of Running Point is brought to you in part by MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning. And joining us on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning hotline, the head football coach of the Niles Red Dragons, Jim Perry. Jim, congratulations on the victory last night over Jefferson.
Yeah, appreciate that. Just great to be out there. I probably would have lost a lot of money if I had bet on whether or not they were going to let us play, a few weeks ago. So we're just really, really happy that we were able to get the game in.
I got to be honest, Coach. You and me both, we would both be losing an awful lot of money. I had serious doubts that we would be playing high school football this year for a variety of reasons, but all's well that ends well, and man, it was nice to have everyone out and running around and having a great time.
Yeah, just to get that it ended up being a long night with the rain, but just to get that sense of normalcy, to hear the band and see the cheerleaders and obviously the crowd, not what you're used to, but at the same time, a ton of familiar faces up in the stands, and that's probably the most normal I've felt in a long, long time. So, despite the weather, it was a great night.
Coach, I got to ask about that, the atmosphere, and clearly when the place is rocking at Bo Ryan Stadium at Eastwood Field, that's a large stadium, and you guys have hosted more than your share of playoff games because it's a quality facility. It's I got to believe the atmosphere was a little strange, but then again we're living in a little bit of strange times this year, Coach.
Yeah, for sure. But I'll tell you, one of my coaches turned to me about midway through the first quarter. He said, it's a lot louder than I expected it to be. And what I said to him, I said, well, the people that are here are all vested. They either waited in line to get a ticket or they have a family member out on the field. And it felt more normal than I guess you would have expected, thinking with the limited number of people there.
35-3 victory. Mother Nature called the game a little bit before the end of the third quarter, but my goodness, Zach Leonard throwing 2 touchdown passes, running a couple of touchdowns in. Noah Durr with a very nifty 57-yard punt return. The defense bent, but it didn't break. You only gave up 3 points on the night. All in all, a spectacular way to open up the season, Coach.
Well, yeah, we're proud of the result, obviously. As a coach, you spend the whole next day thinking about all the things that didn't go great. We were shut down there for what ended up being about 9 days. We dealt with, having a player who had tested positive, and that really showed up in some areas. I think conditioning-wise, those rain delays probably actually helped us a little bit catch our wind. I thought we were out of shape, and then just some of the technique stuff was sloppy. But when you have a kid like Zach and some of those skilled kids we have out there making plays, they make up for a lot of that stuff.
Well, obviously, the biggest improvement in high school football or in football in general is week 1 to week 2. And, even though the score was 35-3, I'm sure you guys were looking at some stuff that needs to be cleaned up. And looking at your week 2 opponents, you go to Poland in week number 2, and the meat grinder begins because the next 5 weeks at Poland, at South Range, Struthers at home, Lakeview at home, at Girard. Man, that's a gauntlet, Coach.
It is, and that's what's great about our league. I mean, if you just go back to last year and just see that, obviously Poland, got out after a slow start to the regular season, but really hit their stride. But the rest of us, just exchanged body blows all season. We were able to end up, beating South Range, but then, took it on the chin to Hubbard and Struthers, and then we ended that year with a big win at Girard. But back and forth. It was just a great. I love that competition. I like it hard that way. So we have a tall task ahead of us, but that's the exciting part. That's why you get involved in this business.
Hey, talk a little bit about your secondary. You guys were able to pick off their quarterback, Hitchcock, a couple of times, and they were 10 of 20 through the air for 81 yards. So that's only 4 yards per attempt, 8 yards per reception. But talk a little bit about your secondary because you had one returning starter in Sudzina, but it seemed like you guys were playing some really good football back in the secondary last night.
Yeah, it was a mixed bag. I mean, I was proud last year. I think we gave up the long ball a lot better. So we kept some things in front of us, but we were a little slow reactive in the secondary, But again, being early in the season, and like you said, some of these kids that had, first time under the lights, that was a bright spot because that's been a concern in the past. So we feel that young crew back there is only going to get better as the season goes on.
Coach, do you get an opportunity in a couple of days after this game and knowing you're going to wait a little bit before you finally figure out, okay, are we good to go for week number 2? Are we going to have a COVID outbreak? When are you going to exhale and say, okay, I guess we can continue on with the season? Is it gotten to that, or are you just saying, hey, okay, game one is over, now let's get ready for Poland, and I don't expect anything to pop up?
Well, I think, again, if you just going back to when this all started, and you try to predict something with this virus and these mandates and these changes, you're gonna get burned. So it really, as coaches, you talk about, hey, stay focused on this week and control what you can control. This is the ultimate test, for that type of mentality. I go just 5 miles down the road and look at what Harding had to deal with. They're now, they got their opponent switched midweek. So those kind of things are gonna pop up. I gotta believe that, and there's no sense fretting about it. And we've been able to adjust on the fly. We've had some, like I said, we got shut down. We had to go instantly virtual. The one thing I could tell you, Ron, is really the kids. I have to give just so much credit to them, and I'm sure the other coaches in the area tell the same thing. The kids have been very resilient to all the changes and expectations, and that it's really us adults that tend to bellyache and moan. I mean, you know who I got my coaches off, Coach Kemp and Coach Boren. They're like the two old guys on the Muppets complaining about everything. So, but our kids have been outstanding and have really pushed through in a great way.
But does Coach Boren and Coach Kemp tell corny jokes like the two old guys in the balcony on the Muppets?
You have no idea, Ron. I mean, the other day, Coach Kemp's shoes were tied to his chair, and Coach Boren had a Tootsie Roll taped to the inside of his hat, and it's just nonstop. So, yeah, they're basically those two old guys for sure.
Hey, in all seriousness, I have said from the get-go, if we do have football, the team that is able to have their coaches understand that there's going to be some glitches and you got to be flexible and you have to expect the unexpected. Same thing with the kids. Those teams that are able to endure the possible changes, and you bring up the best change of them all is Warren Harding in the middle of the week finds out, hey, we're not playing Cleveland Heights, now we're playing Benedictine. If you're able to adapt and change and be able to do it without skipping a beat, those are the teams that I think are going to be really, really good come playoff time.
Well, yeah, and so, go back to the history of teams that are successful, John Wooden, and famously, never scouting an opponent, worrying about your own self. I think we all have to be more fundamental and more concerned about who we are rather than what we're up against. Because sometimes all that change, it takes away from who you are. And if you do too much game planning, really can be a detriment. So I think a lot of coaches are going to change because some of the things that have happened, and that maybe is a little bit of a silver lining through all this.
What do you tell your kids? They have an off day on Friday. Now, normally, under normal conditions, I'm sure some of the kids would be going to other high schools to check out the competition. What do you tell your kids tonight and through the weekend?
Well, again, as a coach, you want to control every little thing. But, for us, we're coming in here today to stretch and lift and watch a little film. But I think 2 days off, we tried to hit it hard when we came back from that because we felt we were behind. We come back from being shut down. I think 2 days off is going to do their bodies well and a great opportunity. I mean, everybody knows, the success Poland's had. I mean, last year they're probably a bad punt snap away from playing in the state finals. And, I love the challenge of it, and I really hope our kids want to embrace it and go to Poland and see what happens.
You always want to have as much of an advantage as possible, and I got to believe one extra day to rest or one extra day to prepare for a top-notch program in Poland is giving you a pretty good advantage because Poland, they're going to be playing tonight over in North Lima, so you get an extra day of rest, an extra day of preparation for Poland. I got to believe you guys are happy with that.
Yeah, and that really we've traditionally opened up on Thursday for a long time now, and that's been nice for that reason. Like you said, the week 1 to week 2 improvement that you really like to see the jump in. That extra day might not seem like much to some folks, but in this game when it's soreness early in the year and maybe a kid that's recovering from a cramping situation, that extra day does mean a lot. So, we're happy to have that. How much of an advantage is it? Probably not a ton, but we'll take any little advantage we get going in a game like that.
Coach, congratulations on the victory over Jefferson. 1 down, 5 to go. And the good news is everyone goes to the playoffs. So, just keep doing what you're doing, and hopefully you get a pretty nice seed and go venture into the playoffs. But, I'm doing my media thing because I'm looking way down the road, and you coaches only look at one game at a time. So I'll scale it back and say best of luck as you prepare for a very good Poland team next Friday.
I appreciate it, Ron. I appreciate everything you guys do for us. The new being able to people that can't be in attendance with the being able to watch the game. I have family members out of town that were able to log on and watch. So you guys please keep up the good work. Our media has been tremendous all across the board in supporting high school football. And you guys, being on the internet, and that just adds another element. So really appreciate it.
Yeah, as I said, it's the perfect storm, Coach. And I'm glad the OHSAA has allowed us to do live video because, especially for this year, you only have a certain amount of people going into the stadiums to watch the game. It's a slam dunk and a no-brainer that we should be able to do this, and I'm so glad that we are because, boy, I tell you, the fans of the Mahoning Valley are sure tuning in to ysnlive.com, and that's a great thing.
Yeah, it is really. Thank you guys again, and hopefully we're having these conversations in the future. So. Thanks for having me on, and go Dragons.
All right, well, keep Coach Kemp and Coach Bourne in line, and make sure you have plenty of depends for them, okay?
Hey, some things I'm good at, but it's impossible. I cannot keep those two in line.
Well, listen, nobody can. I tried to keep Coach Kemp in line 30-some-odd years ago. That just wasn't going to happen. I mean, he marches to the beat of his own drum, so it is what it is.
Yes, sir.
Always a pleasure, Coach.
Okay, take care, Ron.
You got it. The head football coach of the Niles Red Dragons, Jim Perry. The Red Dragons off to a great start. They beat Jefferson 35-3. Rain-shortened, lightning-shortened game at Bo Ryan Stadium in Eastwood Field. Their opponent next week, I would say it's a step up in class. No disrespect to Jefferson, but the Poland Bulldogs will provide some really, really top-notch quality competition. And Niles will be traveling to Poland next Friday night, and that should be a good game. And look, any advantage that you can get, any edge that you can get, you take advantage of it. And for Niles, they get an extra day because they're off tonight, obviously. They played last night. So they'll have an extra day to prepare for a very, very good Poland Bulldogs team who, by the way, will be opening up the season at South Range as they take on the South Range Raiders. Man, that is going to be a great, great game. And if you don't have tickets to that game, you can certainly go to ysnlive.com, click on schools drop-down box. If you're a Poland fan, click on Poland. If you're a South Range fan, click on South Range. Your credit card information, $9.99, and then watch the game beginning at 7 o'clock. All right, let's go to the phone lines. You're on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. What's going on?
Oh, yeah. Young man Ron and young man Anthony. How are you guys?
Well, Anthony's not here. I'm flying solo today. He's only here Monday and Wednesday now.
Oh, could you handle it?
Yeah, I'm good.
I'd be glad to come down and bring a bottle of wine and we could handle it, but I'm sure we wouldn't last long on the air.
Yeah, no, we wouldn't last too long on the air. What's on your mind, brother?
Oh, nothing much. Just muddling through all of the red tape for doctors and nurses and surgeries. And like I said the other day, with all this technology, if we still don't do the footwork, it doesn't get done. But guess what? The old man got it done, so it's all good here.
There you go.
Anyway, because of all the crazy pandemic around here with total out bans and broken wrists on Monica, I missed the Clevenger game the other night. How'd he do?
He pitched well. I mean, he got off to a slow start, gave up a couple of runs in the first two innings, but the innings 3 through 6, he shut Minnesota out, gave up 2 runs over 6 innings, didn't get the win, but the Indians did get the victory 6-3. So all by and large, he pitched a solid game. And then after the game, there was an extended team meeting, and everyone is on board with welcoming Clevenger back, including Oliver Perez. Everyone had a united front. Everyone had a united front, so it would appear that Clevenger's sins have been forgiven, and barring a trade, Clevenger will be in the Indians' rotation the rest of the year.
Boy, some good bats and a big, nice, fully stuffed Christmas stocking trade sounds good, but man, I hate to give up a guy like that.
Well, if you're going to give up Clevenger before the trade deadline on Monday, you damn sure better have market value for him, and it better include one or two decent bats. Otherwise, I don't trade Clevenger. I would wait till the offseason if you're thinking of doing that, and then in the offseason, you could possibly get a little bit more for him.
All right, Ronnie. Well, I'm just glad to talk with you. I still got my hands full today, but I want to touch base and have a great day.
All right, brother. You as well. 330-886-0813. The MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning hotline is open. It is a football night in the Mahoning Valley. Happy Friday. Happy Football Friday. Happy Phone-In Friday, courtesy of MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning. As we will take a timeout on the other end, Canfield head football coach Mike Pavlansky will join us. Coach Pav and the Canfield Cardinals, a 23-0 win over Howland last night. We'll catch up with Coach Pavlansky, and we'll get his take on last night's game as well as their Week 2 opponent. That's coming up after this timeout. You're listening to a phone-in Football Friday edition of Running Point on ysnlive.com. Stick around.
Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods is one fine ride. Perfect cornering, superb handling, sporty and stylish, power to spare, plus awesome mileage. Yeah, jaw-droppingly beautiful lines and well appointed with luxurious trim. Put more oomph in your life and start beholding the molding. Find your home's fine hardwood at BairdBrothers.com. Storm season.
I think we're under the gun for some heavy storms over the next couple of hours.
And Storm Tracker 21 is ready.
This is probably the one we're keeping a closer eye on.
On air.
And locally, we're going to have a lot of eyes on our area.
Online.
All right, let's talk high-risk futurecast and the timing of this weather.
On social media and on our app.
Staying in the showers, I'm keeping my eye on in parts of Columbiana County.
Stay ready with Storm Tracker 21.
The severe weather threat now through around sunset this evening.
Hi everyone, this is DJ Yoakley with Your Sports Network. We appreciate your support of YSN and welcome you to the YSN family. Our broadcast streams are brought to you live at no cost to you by sponsors that are local to this community. Without the vision and generosity of our sponsors and partners, we would not be able to bring this game to you today. So please support the great businesses and leaders that are making this game possible. And if you're a business in need of great advertising and sponsorship opportunities, feel free to head over to our site for more information on the right fit for you. We are local, we are loyal, and we are live. We are YSN.
Baird Brothers remains your source for fine hardwood products. For the time being, we're open for customer pickup only on weekdays, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. and Saturday from 9 a.m. till noon. Place your order online at BairdBrothers.com. Baird Brothers, for the place you love.
Quality, customer service, and integrity. Those are the 4 words that have driven our success since 1957 at Joe Dickey Electric.
Joe Dickey Electric is one Mahoning Valley landmark business that stays current with the requirements of our customers. Family owned and managed, we are an electrical contractor and energy solutions provider. Every member of our team adds to his or her skill set through ongoing training. Residential, commercial, industrial, automotive, and more. We keep ahead of the needs of our customers with a fleet of more than 50 vehicles and 24/7 emergency service, so you're never left in the dark.
The 4M Company, being an architect and construction manager for over 40 years, has had the opportunity to use many different electrical businesses for our projects. The depth, quality, and knowledge and attention to detail displayed by Dickey Electric makes them stand out above all the rest.
For state-of-the-art expertise and a timeless commitment to our customers, contact Joe Dickey Electric. We are everything electrical.
I'm feeling pretty good about myself, like I'm living the dream. Platform shoes, strut down the street. It's gonna get hot in here, I hope you can handle the heat.
Over the years, you watched us grow, and as we've done, so has the Myers Family Insurance team.
Thanks to all of you who have trusted our families to help you with your Medicare needs.
Myers Family Insurance looks forward to helping you now for years to come, so call our family today and remind them how cute we are.
Myers Family Insurance continues to be the area's resource for all your Medicare and retirement needs. Call today, 330-286-3044.
It's a phone-in / football Friday night in the Mahoning Valley, and our phone-in football Friday night in the Valley Friday is brought to you by MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning. We got some news breaking out of the southern Columbiana County. It would appear the Beaver local East Liverpool game, there's a very good chance that game is postponed. The weather down in southern Columbiana County is absolutely dreadful right now, and they're thinking that a lightning delay and all kinds of other stuff would impede the start of the game. Now, obviously, the games aren't going to be starting for another 5.5 hours, but the weather and long-term forecast, at least hour by hour in southern Columbiana County, is absolute garbage. So the chances are the game could be played tomorrow. There's going to be a decision, hopefully, within the next hour or so. If they do cancel the game, it will probably be tomorrow. Yeah, they have canceled the game officially. East Liverpool taking on Beaver Local. That game is going to be postponed to Saturday night at Potter Field in East Liverpool, 7 o'clock Saturday night. Beaver Local will play East Liverpool Saturday night at 7 o'clock down at the iconic and historic Potter Field in East Liverpool. All right, let's go to the phone lines where we find Mike Pavlansky, the head football coach of the Canfield Cardinals. Coach Pav, how are you today, my brother?
Great, Ron. Thanks for having me on.
Well, it's a good thing you guys were able to play yesterday and dodge some raindrops and whatnot instead of playing in the god-awful weather that we're going to have tonight. But bad weather or no weather, man, good performance by you guys last night as you pitch a shutout defensively, get a 23-0 victory over Howland, and you guys ran the ball exceptionally well last night.
Yeah, Ron, we were pleased with our kids' performance, how hard they played. Obviously, it was just good to have a ball game. My goodness, after last spring and everything the high school kids went through and everything being canceled, the summertime just working and, obviously not knowing if you're going to have a season or not. And then, to finally be out on bumped up field and have a semblance of a football game was really special for our guys. Pleased with the first win, but obviously we've got a long way to go if we want to be considered a good football team.
Oh, no doubt, and I know that you're a perfectionist, and even though your team pitched a shutout, I know that you are going to find some things that you got to have your kids work on to prepare yourselves or prepare themselves for a date with Notre Dame Cathedral Latin at Canfield coming up next Friday.
Yeah, certainly watching the tape early this morning, there's a lot of things. Defensively, very proud of the defense. We put them in unbelievably bad situations on our side of 50 all night long, and they rose to the challenge every single time. We were certainly disappointed in our ability to tackle at times. We've got to clean that up. Offensively, we ran the ball really well, like you said, but we turned it over 3 times, and that just can't happen. Very few times you're going to lose a turnover battle 3-0 and win a football game, but we were fortunate to do that last night. So there's a lot of things offensively we got to clean up because, we've got a very good Notre Dame Cathedral Latin team coming in Friday night, and, one that handled us pretty well up there last year, 38-0.
Coach, let's talk a little bit about the preparations for the season and the idea that there was a chance, a really good chance, that we wouldn't even be playing football, and then Governor DeWine gave the okay, but then everything is 15% of the stadium. And look, Canfield has one of the nicer stadiums in the area, but 15% of capacity, not a lot of fans allowed to go to Canfield. So what was the environment like? What was the feel like leading up to Governor DeWine's decision and then the atmosphere in the stadium last night?
Well, obviously leading up to it, a lot of hesitation about whether you're going to play or not. And the only thing we told our kids, like most coaches did, and that is, hey, let's just enjoy being together, coming to practice and having fun at practice, learning football and perfecting our techniques and things like that. So if we do have a season, we're ready to go. And then once we got the okay in scrimmage Louisville last week, that was neat. And then last night, to be honest with you, Ron, ran on the field, coached the game really, and I think our players would say the same thing. Things outside the field of play really didn't bother us at all. We don't pay attention to that. It's nice to have the band, the fans there. But to us, it was a football game.
Coach, talk a little bit about that Louisville scrimmage, and I bring this up because Louisville played a team last night that you will be facing later in the season. In week number 4, you'll travel down to Tornado Country to take on Dover September the 18th. Louisville played them, lost to them 19-10. How did you guys fare against Louisville in the scrimmage?
Yeah, we thought we did well against them. We competed hard, made mistakes. But overall, pleased with our effort again. And I think we improved in most facets last night except for the turnover situation. Louisville's got a good football team. Unfortunately, they're on their 3rd coaching staff in 3 years, so their seniors have really been through the ringer, as far as different philosophies and schemes and, different personalities on the coaching staff. You feel bad for them. They're going to get better as the season goes on. So to go down there and play Dover that close in a first ball game is a credit to the Louisville kids.
After a scoreless first quarter, Brock Lowry hooked up with Logan Torek for a 56-yard touchdown pass, and then you had Schmidt kicking a 22-yard field goal in the latter stages of the second quarter. Ethan Fletcher putting one in from 59 yards out in the third quarter, a good rushing touchdown, and then you got a freshman involved in everything. If I'm not mistaken, Ryan Schneider with a 9-yard run. I might be mistaken. Is he a freshman, Coach?
No, Ryan's a sophomore.
Okay,
Ron, he is. Yeah, Ryan's a sophomore, just like Brock. And those two young men have had a great summer and earned their spots on the field last night. They certainly didn't disappoint anybody with their performances. We're excited about their future, and like everybody else, those guys got to improve for us this week.
Obviously, the improvements from week 1 to week 2 it is incredibly important, and you guys will stay at home for another couple of weeks. You take on Notre Dame Cathedral Latin. I had Coach Perry on earlier in the hour, and I was asking him about the extra day of preparation. You guys played on a Thursday night. That extra day of preparation, is that going to be a large key in the success of Canfield next Friday?
You got to hope so, and that's the reason we scheduled a Thursday night game to give us an extra day of preparation. And for us, it's more mental preparation than anything else. This afternoon after school here, we're going to get together with our team and review the film from last night and have them work out a little bit, and then bring them in tomorrow morning again and do a lot of mental work with watching tape with Notre Dame Cathedral Latin. We traded their scrimmages. We'll certainly take a look at the game from last year when we went up there and didn't fare real well. So in the next couple of days, it's more mental than anything else before you get back at it Monday. But certainly the extra day of preparation is a big deal to us, going into week 2.
In a normal year, if you play on a Thursday, Friday night would be the kids would go to various football games in the Mahoning Valley and take a look at the competition. Obviously, we're in a COVID world, and I don't know if the kids can get their hands on very limited tickets throughout the Mahoning Valley, but what are you going to tell your kids in terms of what they can and what they cannot do on a free night?
We trust our kids to make good decisions. They've done that all summer long. We've been one of the fortunate schools that have not had any situations so far as the COVID is concerned. I would, like we're going to tell them this afternoon, I don't think you should go to another game because it's only family members that are supposed to be in attendance at games. No general admission fans, things such as that. So, hey, if you want to watch an opponent that we're going to be playing, such as New Philadelphia or Dover or Boardman, hey, get to go to some teammates' houses and sit there and live stream it or watch the live broadcast of Boardman and Fitch tonight. So I think they'll probably be doing that.
Well, I'll tell you what, looking at your guys' schedule, again, Notre Dame Cathedral Latin next Friday night. New Philadelphia will come up from the southern part of the state, and they'll play Canfield on September the 11th. You guys travel down to Dover to take on the Tornadoes on the 18th. Cheney comes to town on the 25th. You close out the 6-game schedule against Boardman. I would say that that 6-game schedule, with Canfield being an independent, I'd say that 6-game schedule has prepared you for a playoff scenario if we do have the playoffs this year.
Yeah, we hope so, Ron. There's no doubt about that, Tom. We were pleased that when the 6-game schedule came down that we were able to keep 6 teams that were on our schedule. We were able to honor every one of those contracts, and we're pleased about that. Obviously, we lost some teams because of league situations. We couldn't get East on the schedule. That would have been nice to play them. But Medina, Highland, and Poland, they have to have their league conference schedule they needed to play, so they were out. But this is a schedule that we prepared for 2 years ago, and invited these teams to play us, and they're willing to play. So we can't be looking too far down the road. It's got to be week by week, and when we get to week 7 then and start the playoffs, we'll see what happens.
I've often said that the coaching staff and the kids that are flexible enough to understand what could very well be happening down the road, and no greater example than Warren Harding having to find out earlier in the week that Cleveland Heights is no longer on their schedule. Now Cleveland Benedictine is. You guys have a coaching staff that's veteran enough to go with the flow. So God forbid something were to happen to, say, New Philadelphia, where they have a COVID outbreak, but you guys are able to schedule someone else. Your coaching staff is veteran enough to go and go on the fly. And I got to imagine if you guys are veteran enough, your kids will be veteran enough.
You got to hope so that, what we could talk to them about, that they will absorb and trust us. But kids being kids, sometimes it's in one ear and not the other, and you go out on game night and, you get something a little bit different. But, we really like our kids. We trust them. We got great senior leadership that if we get in a situation like Warren Harding is, that our kids will be able to adapt.
60 kids dressing. You have 62 players on the roster. You got 2 kids that probably won't be dressing. That I got to imagine that the practices for those 60 jerseys are going to be spirited, because I'm sure that the 2 kids that weren't dressing last night are going to want to dress in week number 2.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's one of those things that the state handed down. We can only dress 60, and like you said, we got 62. Unfortunately, in our situation, we've got 4 or 5 injuries, and so we were able to dress everybody that was able to dress last night. We've had tremendous competition throughout the summertime. We've got 3 very competitive classes. They enjoy each other. They get to the practice field. They like to get after each other, and in the locker room, laugh and giggle about it. So the competition has always been there. We've lost 2 seniors for the year. Jackson Christ, a quarterback, who's going to be one of our starting quarterbacks, to a broken collarbone, and then senior tailback defensive back Tony Panunzio to a broken ankle. And so we're going to be at that 60 mark no matter what, unfortunately, and every one of our guys will address.
Well, Coach, congratulations on the victory over Howland. Get the extra day off, enjoy that time, and get ready for Notre Dame Cathedral Latin. Can't wait to see some Cardinals football later in the season.
Sounds good, Ron. I appreciate your time. Thanks for what you do for Mahoning Valley football. You guys do a great job.
You got it, sir. Mike Pavlansky, the head football coach of the Canfield Cardinals, joining us on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. We like to call it a phone-in Friday. Hell no, it is a phone-in Friday, but it's a football Friday in the Mahoning Valley. And all of this brought to you by MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning. You've got your headset on, and you got an interesting look on your face. What's going on?
It got some breaking news. You talked about East Liverpool, Beaver Local. That's going to be moved to tomorrow at 7 o'clock. We also have the entire EOAC has moved their games to tomorrow, Saturday, same time, 7 o'clock. As I understand it, you can get everything on ysnlive.com. There's a lot of schools right now talking about changing because of the inclement weather. We're trying to stay up on the schools that we have. So if you're not familiar, Columbiana and United doing battle. Supposed to be tonight. That'll be moved to tomorrow at 7 o'clock. Latonia and Southern, again, that one moved to tomorrow at 7 o'clock. And Wellsville and Lisbon going to be moved to tomorrow at 7 o'clock. I've never seen anything like this. This is like 2020 in a nutshell right here.
Open that door for a second. I gotta see this to believe it. Because look, we don't have a drought anymore. Oh my God! You got water everywhere. Yeah, that's yeah. I don't think we have a drought anymore.
I think we're good.
Oh man!
Everybody wanted rain. They
listen, we got brown spots in the yard. I don't think you're going to have brown spots anymore in the yard. Good Lord! When you opened the window or the door up the last time, it was raining sideways.
Yep.
Reminded me of the scene in Forrest Gump where he was talking about it was raining sideways. It was raining up and down.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. We had 14 games lined up for you tonight. That is down to 10 now as it stands. And
9 because you're right, 10 because Beaver Local and East Liverpool postponed as well.
We're still working with ADs to make sure that that they're on for tonight. You can stay tuned on ysnlive.com. There's a thread we'll be updating throughout with all postponements and things of that nature. It does not, unless all the games are canceled tonight, does not change anything for audible call. We've already got that question.
Now let me ask with some more games that are going to be on the schedule, because we already had Lowville and Jackson Milton and Valley Christian against East Palestine. So now you're adding 4 more games: Beaver Local and East Liverpool, Columbiana and United, Latonia and Southern, Wellsville and Lisbon. Do we have a Saturday night edition of Audible Call?
That's a conversation we can have with Mike when he comes in, or if somebody wants to step up and do it. But the thing about Audible Call that people don't realize is how many hands it takes to run it behind the scenes. I mean, we've got 5 guys on 5 computers, a producer, a director, that are all going to be pushing buttons, the ones you see in front of you now that weren't there the last time you sat down.
No, I was looking at this going, okay, this is new. I'm not. I have no desire to touch any of those buttons.
But that's something we could look at potentially, and it could be an opportunity for not only us but for our sponsor, Nationwide Mortgage Bankers, who's you've been fantastic with us, Luke Schuster and Isaac Schuster, sponsoring the Audible Call, and they didn't even blink. They said, this is going to be huge. We want it, and we want it now. We want a good deal. And I said, okay, here you go. So, but it's actually a dynamite idea, Ron.
Columbiana County just went down the toilet today with all of the games pretty much banged. Crestview's not playing in Columbiana County. They're playing up in Trumbull County
Which
tonight.
is crazy, and this is a perfect time to plug Storm Tracker 21 app. Get that app now and see what it's going to be like, because I know plenty of people didn't have umbrellas last night in Niles, and they regretted it. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. I mean, as far as I know, everything's still on. I'm gonna jump out of here and make sure that I'm calling the athletic directors and making sure that we have all the breaking news for you on YSN.
Yeah, I'm looking at the future, and about 6:30, 7 o'clock, you got a gigantic, and I do mean gigantic sized follow the rainbow of colors of stuff up in Trumbull County.
Well,
but it scoots by. Let me do this. It scoots by just after 7:30, so it's one of those fast moving
Which
jobs.
is why I think a lot of these ADs are going to say, because with turf the way it is now, the majority of these teams have turf. I think if they hold out, it's going to be good. I don't think it's good if everybody moves to Saturday. You know what I mean? Because that presents a whole nother problem. Because one of the ADs actually presented the thought of, what about the pre-sale tickets? What do you do now? Because everybody's going to come to that game tomorrow and say, well, I had a ticket. And if they did, I mean, they could be bluffing.
Oh, sure.
So it's going to be interesting because this presents a whole new...
See, now you just gave some people some ideas.
Well, I mean, it's not like they didn't think of it. I mean, if they're telling athletic directors this, it's already... And ADs are already on it. So,
yeah.
So it's not anything that they're not... they've already got you snooped.
I would hope that you don't do anything that crazy. So...
It's $9.99.
Yeah, I know. Just watch it.
And for two people, you're saving $4.
Exactly. Just watch it. All right, let's go to the phone lines. Thanks for waiting. You're on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. What's going on?
How you doing? I just phoned in to see if I can talk to Ronnie about some NFL.
I'm here. What's up, brother?
Hey, Ronnie, it's Scotty Thompson.
What's up, my man?
How you doing?
I'm good. How about yourself?
Doing well. I don't know. I'm a little upset about them pulling the fans for at least the first two home games, especially for the Steelers. We were kind of waiting yesterday. My two best friends are Steeler ticket holders. Got the emails that no fans in the stadium for at least the first two games in September. I don't know how that's going to look. I kind of wanted Ronnie to get your opinion because I know that it's going to affect the players. Just see from that energy of the fans.
Yeah, it's going to be weird. It's going to be a very weird feel to watch a game on national TV. And I mean, let's face it, the NFL is a once a week kind of a thing. So their game is presented a little bit differently, where everyone's on board. The AFC is watched on CBS. The NFC is on Fox. And everyone gets to see their favorite team if you live in close to that area. And it's going to be weird looking at an empty Heinz Field for the first two home games while the Steelers are playing football. It's going to have a very weird feeling toward it. There's no doubt.
Yeah, and especially, I know your team, the Bills, and what fanatics they are up there. And you know as well as me, when those times when they play Renegade in that stadium.
Oh, my God. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I know I'm a little bit biased, but, I mean, the goosebumps that just seeing, and I know it's a real thing, I've seen how the fans just impact the energy, and then the game's taken over.
Yeah, they're gonna have to find another way to outside of the fans juicing them up. They're gonna have to be able to dig really deep within themselves to be able to play in front of an empty stadium. And you know, some people are going to sit back and go, "Oh my God, what the hell's the deal?" Let me tell you, there is a gigantic difference. And I was 12 years in minor league baseball, and when I was in Jackson, Tennessee, we played in front of nobody. We had fans disguised as empty chair night at the ball yard every single night, and our kids just begged to be on the road because they knew they would be playing in front of a lot more fans when they're on the road. A professional athlete loves playing in front of a full house. That jacks them up to an even bigger level. So I'm going to be curious the caliber of play throughout the entire NFL for the teams like Pittsburgh, like Cleveland, like Buffalo, that'll be playing in front of empty stadiums for their first two home games. There's going to be a big difference between their caliber of play.
Yeah, well, up in Green Bay, are they doing the same thing? No home games.
I haven't heard from what the Packers are going to be doing.
Yeah.
I know Kansas City's going to have limited fans. Dallas is going to have limited fans all year long. I haven't heard one way or the other what the Packers are going to do, but from a gambling standpoint, and I know there's people that love to have some action. I would certainly put an edge. And when we talk with Joe and Uncle Jimmy when they come into studio in a couple of weeks, there's going to be at least I would think there's going to be a possible difference in who you would want to bet in a game that involves fans to a game that involves no fans.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. Just trying. I mean, I'm glad they're playing as of now. I think it's going to be good, especially with some things that are going on and with the world. Something for some people to, be able to enjoy their favorite team and let's get some football going here. But I was just trying to think. We were talking. Me and my buddies were talking, especially last night. Just kind of how this is going to look. It's going to be such a different with no fans in them stadiums.
Well, the good news is, the two games, and you don't want to have any games without fans, but the two games that you're going to have without fans, Denver and Houston. You're not going to have, at least as of right now, you're going to have fans in the stands for the Browns on October the 18th, which is the fourth home game. You'll definitely have fans in the stands, or at least you would hope, on Thanksgiving night in Pittsburgh when they take on Baltimore. And Washington, Philadelphia is on the home schedule as well. Indianapolis, December 27th on the schedule. So, Philadelphia, as I mentioned, October the 11th. You don't want to have any games without fans, but if you chose one game without fans, Denver would probably be the game.
Yeah, I agree. But I just wonder, will that carry over month to month?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I honestly don't know. I mean, that's and it's clearly it's up to the organization and not up to Goodell. Because there are teams that are going to do it, and there are teams that are saying, we're not going to put fans in the stands for right now. This is strictly a decision by the Steelers organization and not a decision by the National Football League at this point.
Yeah, see, that's going to hurt, especially how well the Steelers travel, too, if they're able to go to a stadium where fans are permitted, how kind of that's going to look, too, because the Steelers, the fans show up.
Yeah, well, I mean, they go to the Meadowlands on September the 14th. That's the Monday night game, the early Monday night game. And I'm sure Giants Nation will show up because they always do. They go to Nashville on October the 4th. I don't know how many tickets Steelers fans are going to be able to get. Hell, I don't even know if they're going to allow half the stadium, 20% of the stadium. And then the other thing with this, Scott, it's no secret the Steelers have a very large season ticket base, just like any other team in the NFL. What do you tell those people? What do you tell the other season ticket holders? Because I got to believe if it's a 20, 25, 30% capacity, it's going to go to the season ticket holders. But what do you tell the season ticket holders that may not have or may not be part of the 30% capacity? Do you hold a lottery every single week? Do you? I don't even know how the hell you're going to do that.
Yeah, that's what they were saying, that they'd have almost like a full-blown lottery, but with the Steeler fan base is that it was going to be almost like a pick, and you maybe get a choice. And some of these guys are just kind of waiting. Should they get through September, see what happens, or should they get the refund now to put towards next year?
Yeah.
And kind of like the financial hit that some of these teams are going to kind of take this year with.
Oh, they're going to lose billions of dollars. Trust me on this one. Now, the saving grace for the NFL is they're incredibly large contracts that they have with CBS, Fox, the NFL Network. ESPN has Monday Night Football. So NBC as well. So between the 5 entities, and it's divided up evenly amongst the 32 teams, you're going to have serious money coming into each organization. It's just the amount of money that they're going to be losing because of the lack of fans. That's going to be a lot of money per team that's going to lose some cash there.
Yeah, and then then kind of what do they do with the cap going into 2021?
It'll be lowered significantly. That's a lot of the stuff I'm reading is indicating that way. So and again, just like in Major League Baseball, if you're a free agent and you're hoping to strike it big, this is probably the worst time for you to be a free agent, because Major League Baseball is going to be losing a ridiculous amount of money. So is the National Football League. So if you're a free agent after the 2020 season and you're expected to get a 4-year, $90 million deal, you ain't getting that. You're not even going to come close to that. Now, that could be good news if you're a small market team looking to keep one of your franchise players. That would be fantastic news. If the Indians were to somehow, some way sign Lindor to a long-term deal and save some money along the way because of the Indians and Major League Baseball losing buckets of money, that could be a good situation for the Indians. But the NFL is a little bit different, where everyone shares the money equally. You don't have a, quote, small market team, because all of that money is shared equally, except for the revenue that teams get within the fans in the stands. So, I would expect players to be paid far less in 2021, but I don't think you're going to get the serious hit in football in terms of guys leaving one team for another, that you're going to see an extreme discount in terms of how much money is going to be had in Major League Baseball. Yeah, definitely agree with that. And on with you mentioned with Major League Baseball, this year's been kind of like watching the games, like watching the Yankees and the Indians and the Pirates. Of course, the Pirates. I don't even have those. The Pirates. The talent that they do have, like Moran, even Cole Tucker come along here now. Yeah.
But that is like watching it. There's sounds now that I guess with there not being fans in there.
Yeah, it's tough to watch this team when the offense isn't there. And Reynolds had a great year last year. He's struggling this year. Josh Bell has been all over the place this year. It's no secret you've lost 4/5 of your rotation as well. But the good news is some of the young kids are coming up and they'll get a little bit of experience. I just think it's a throwaway year for the Pirates. You hope and pray that things get a whole lot better in 2021. There's pieces there for this team to be sneaky good, but you got to get healthy.
Yeah, definitely, guys. Yeah, their team health is that's crucial.
Hey, brother, always a pleasure. Good hearing from you.
Yes, definitely enjoyed talking with you, Ronnie. I'm so glad you're down there at YSN. I listen to you so much on iHeartRadio. Glad you're with YSN, and it was a privilege talking to you. And I'm this Marco Ferri. Boy, I just wish I could find some way to be able to. I got a feeling he's going to have a special year with the Bears.
Well, he had a special year last year, and Marco brought something up that was really interesting, and I knock on wood and pray that this doesn't happen to Marco. His two older brothers, Trent and Roman, both did not have senior years because they were both hurt and were not able to complete their senior years. Marco's the last of Danny and Caroline's kids. He and his twin sister Taryn. So you hope that Marco is able to go through his senior year playing football, playing basketball without any significant injuries. And man, if he can go through his entire senior year without any injuries, I'm with you. I think Marco's going to have an unbelievable year at Leetonia. And honestly, Scott, I think Leetonia has a really good chance at least 4 wins this year.
Oh yeah, I definitely they got a real good shot at least 4. If Marco's able to God willing be healthy, what a horse he's going to be in that backfield.
And he's gotten so much bigger this off season. He is a big kid, and not big lengthwise, but he's just a big kid, and he's still retained his speed. As I've said, he's the best running back in this area that no one's ever heard of, and I would encourage everyone to check out Leetonia and check this kid out because he is special.
Oh, definitely. Not too long ago, don't forget about a running back that was kind of unknown with the Bears not too long ago, Merrill.
Yeah, Ryan Merrill was an unbelievably great running back at Leetonia.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Yeah. All right, Ronnie, I ain't going to keep you, but it was great talking to you, brother.
I appreciate it, man. Scotty is checking in on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning hotline, which is open at 330-886-0813. We're going to catch up with Chris Biebel. He'll be coming up at the top of the hour. We'll talk some Tribe baseball with Biebs. The Indians in action in St. Louis tonight as they take on the Cardinals, who were swept yesterday by the Pirates. Attaboy Buccos, way to go. Wins 8-9 for the Bucks as they swept a doubleheader from the Cardinals. Game 1 of the 3-game series between the Indians and the Cardinals tonight at 8:15. Again, the breaking news, some casualties in terms of high school football tonight. A lot of Columbiana County wiped out tonight. East Liverpool was supposed to be hosting Beaver Local. That game has been postponed and moved to Saturday night at 7 o'clock. Also moved to Saturday night, Leetonia hosting Southern, Columbiana hosting United, and Wellsville hosting Lisbon. All 4 of those games have been canceled for tonight due to the unbelievably large rainstorm that we had down here in Columbiana County. So, as it turns out, all of the Eastern Ohio Athletic Conference games are going to be played tomorrow night. Valley Christian will be hosting East Palestine. That game will be played at Campbell Memorial High School. The other 3 games that have been postponed tonight to move to tomorrow night, Columbiana hosting United. That game will be played tomorrow night at Firestone Park. Leetonia hosting Southern down in Beartown, and Wellsville hosting Lisbon down by the river, or as Matt Foley would say, down by the river. All right, 330-886-0813. Chris Biebel coming up next. Stick around. A phone-in Football Friday edition of Running Point, courtesy of MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning. It rolls on after this timeout.
They say American craftsmanship is making a comeback. Of course, at Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods, it never went away.
People are floored by Baird Brothers' authentic hardwood floors. They stare at our stairs and adore our doors. Baird Brothers reflects 3 generations of family craftsmanship. Visit our huge in-stock selection in person or at BairdBrothers.com.
Baird Brothers, our family's heritage, your family's home.
Planning a project around your home or rental property? Trust the electrical service to the local experts with 62 years of serving the Mahoning Valley. Joe Dickey Electric is your local go-to source for responsive, reliable residential electrical work. From everyday maintenance and repairs to new installations, electrical upgrades, and safety inspections, no job is too big or too small. Call Joe Dickey Electric today, 800-549-3976, or visit DickeyElectric.com. That's DickeyElectric.com.
Myers Family Insurance knows the importance of a great team.
Our team continues to grow to help you with your Medicare and retirement needs.
The annual election period is here, so it's all hands on deck to make sure your plans still meet your needs for 2020.
Call us today.
Welcome back to a Phone-In Football Friday edition of Running Point, and our Phone-In Football edition, Football Friday edition of Running Point, brought to you by MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning. They also sponsor the hotline, so we go to the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning hotline, where we are joined by the producer extraordinaire of Munch Bishop's show, heard Monday through Friday on 1350 The Gambler. Up in the Akron-Cleveland market. Chris Beeble joining us. Beebs, what's up, brother?
Yo, Ronnie, what's going on? I'm doing well. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. And I'm better now that the sins of Clevenger have officially been forgiven by the clubhouse, though I still think between now and Monday, the Indians could pull the trigger if they're given market value for Clevenger.
Yeah, I think, you know, they are obviously listening, and that's the thing you hear almost like ad nauseum, almost to the point of being nauseous every year. Oh, well, we'll listen on everybody. And I think that, you know, as the kind of market that Cleveland Indians are in, they have to listen on everybody. But, you know, I'm seeing things today about the price being, quote unquote, ridiculous for Mike Clevenger. And you know what? It should be. And did this stuff hurt his trade value a little bit? Potentially, but there are still going to be potentially up to 30 other suitors, you know, for Mike Clevenger. So I definitely don't think you can't just let him go for less than market value. And because of that, because of how weird this year is, unless another team out there really, really starts to panic and feel like they need to make a move, I don't expect him to move. But I'm going to say it's not a 0%er, but I personally don't expect it.
No, I don't expect it now either, especially when the team had their extended meeting after the Clevenger outing and then pretty much announced that everyone's on board. And, you know, everyone, including Oliver Perez. And I know a couple of weeks ago, Oliver Perez made the comment, hey, if Clevenger or Plesac gets called up, I'm bouncing. Deuces to all of you. I'm out of here. It was good to see that everyone is now on a united front, that nobody's going to be leaving, and Clevenger apparently must have apologized, and whatever was said, all is forgiven, and Clevenger's back in the rotation. Now, having said that, look, Beebs, you and I both know if you're going to win a World Series, you better have some really, really good pitching, and the Atlanta Braves could use an arm, and Lord knows the Atlanta Braves have the kind of youthful bats that the Indians would love to take off their hands if there was a deal to be had.
You know, Ron, I may be in a unique position when it comes to the Indians because, you know, what I've felt over the past few years, and I know everybody's allured by the big move by, oh, let's go get somebody that can hit fifth in our lineup and hit, you know, on a normal year, upwards of 30 to 40 bombs, like have that kind of power potential. And don't get me wrong, like if we could add somebody like that, if the opportunity presents itself, any team would, and you'd be stupid not to do it. But I've always had the feeling that, you know, as guys like Francisco Lindor go, as guys like Jose Ramirez go, especially now that you have both of those guys hitting at the top of the order, you know, in those RBI type positions, you know, second and third, and then you have Santana, you have Franmil Reyes, like you have guys that have a little bit of a track record of either having power or having RBI prowess. If you have those guys in the middle of your lineup working well, it'll strike fear into opposing pitchers. It'll do. I don't necessarily think that the Indians need that type of big difference-making bats and make a move like that as long as those guys are playing well. The problem with the Indians in the past, in the playoffs, especially over the past few years, is that Jose Ramirez and Francisco Lindor haven't really pulled their weight. I mean, they're amazing players, and I would love to see Lindor in an Indians uniform for the rest of his career. But it is what it is. He hasn't done well with runners in scoring position over the last few years, especially in the playoffs. So to me, I almost look at what are the Indians' strengths. What do the Indians do better than any other team in the league, bar none? That is have a starting pitching staff that goes 1 through 5, and every single guy 1 through 5 is liable to shut you down on a daily basis. So to me, I don't necessarily think the Indians need to make a big move where you trade a guy like Clevenger. See, Plesac is an interesting thing to me. I guess it really depends on what other teams are looking for and what the Indians think of him long term. Because if McKenzie is as good as advertised, if he keeps putting start after start together, and he looks like he's somebody you can trust at the bottom of that rotation, even going into a playoff series, then all of a sudden the Plesac situation becomes very interesting because he's not helping you right this second. So I think that's an interesting one. We might not necessarily see that unfold because it is getting so close to the trade deadline, and that's a pretty big decision to make. But, I honestly, looking at the Cleveland Indians situation, if I were in their shoes, I don't think it's easy to say that a trade of Mike Clevenger, who is your second best pitcher on the starting staff, I don't necessarily think that for sure makes you a better team if you trade him at the deadline.
Yeah, it just depends on who you get in return and how much bang for their buck they get. But I'm with you. It weakens the starting rotation, and then you put that much more pressure on a kid like McKenzie. You obviously have to bring Plesac back into the fold, and now you have a rotation of Bieber, Carrasco, Savali, Plesac, and McKenzie. And by the way, look, there's a reason why I have raved about Tristan McKenzie since I saw him pitch in Mahoning Valley in 2016. If the kid stays healthy, and that is just a monster-sized $1 million if, I have said from the get-go, Tristan McKenzie is the best pitcher in the Indians starting rotation from top to bottom, majors to minors. And I think that this kid has the highest ceiling as long as he stays healthy. So, man, I'm hoping that the Indians don't try to get cute and say, well, we need a bat so badly, but we don't want to disrupt our current rotation with Bieber and Clevenger and Carrasco and Savali and whatnot. So we'll trade Tristan McKenzie for that big bat. For the love of God, please don't do that, because this guy is the number one starter in the Wake.
Yeah, and I just don't necessarily know that, obviously we're not privy to any of the conversations that are going on in that front office. So, who knows what kind of players are being batted around in terms of trade talks. But I can't even imagine the kind of available bat that would be available that they would look at and say, this is absolutely what we need to unload Tristan McKenzie for. Because, starting pitching is, especially a guy like that. We saw in his first start, and it's only one start, Ron. But, like you said, you've watched him pitch all throughout the minors. This guy came up in his first start. He looked nervous. They had the camera on him. He was getting himself pumped up. He was throwing all of his pitches for strikes. He was getting it up in the high 90s. He was exploding towards the plate. He worked in a curveball, a slider, a changeup. He was throwing it all for strikes. And, that was as impressive as it gets. So, yeah, I balk at that. That's the interesting position that the Indians find themselves in, is that, at some point, if they do want to make a big move, they're going to have to make a decision on a pitcher that they otherwise wouldn't have wanted to make. Trevor Bauer made it pretty easy last year with his attitude, the fact that he wasn't necessarily the Trevor Bauer of the last few years before that. He had a little bit of a down year going into the trade deadline. Obviously, he looks great this year. But, the whole explosion on the mound, Trevor Bauer made that very easy on Chernoff and Antonetti. There really isn't. I guess you could point to this whole situation with Plesac and Clevenger, but you really didn't have any reason before that. They weren't flying off the hinges before that. So to me, especially in this year, when you have the best starting pitching in baseball. It just takes a lot for me to get rid of any of them. But McKenzie even still, because, I mean, that guy, he's been number one pretty much, at least in the pitching or the minor leagues, coming up for the Indians for a long time. Like, even before we knew about Shane Bieber, it was Tristan McKenzie over and over and over again. And obviously Bieber was able to leapfrog him. But yeah, this kid is very, very special. And I would hope that it's not some sort of, transitional type middle of the order batter that they're going to get rid of him for, and then look at it 2 years down the road and say, dang, we really gave up on that, didn't we?
Chris Beeble joining us on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning hotline on this phone in Football Friday in the Mahoning Valley. Chris, I'm going to throw out a statistic. I love when I throw this out. Everyone talks about how the Indians offense has struggled this year, and 31 games in a 60-game season. We went past the halfway mark in the final game of the series against Minnesota. Would it surprise you if I were to tell you that the Indians have scored 4 or more runs in more than half of their 31 games this year?
You know what? Honestly, it kind of would. It kind of would, because those stretches where we go and we don't score those, I mean, they just feel like they're weeks at a time.
Yeah, 16 games. 16
Wow.
of the 31 games, the Indians' offense has scored 4 or more runs. By the way, in those 16 games, the Indians are 14-2. They're absolutely unbeatable, or close to unbeatable. And the 2 times that they lost, both games to the Detroit Tigers, Carrasco looked awful in that start, and Plutko looked awful in his start. So 14-2 when the Indians score 4 or more runs. They have scored 3 times, 1 time this year. They've scored 3 runs 1 time. It was a victory. 2 runs or less, the Indians are 4-10. So as long as the Indians score 3 or more runs, they're 15-2.
That's incredible. That is, and then you know what? That also tells you that maybe making that move to bolster the lineup is exactly what you need to give it a go this year. Because when you hear numbers as polarized as that, Ron, it really makes you think about, okay, we have a lot of young pitching, but what's the window? Because especially with the bullpen, you don't know what you get on a year-to-year basis. Right? I mean, Karinchak looks absolutely dominating this year, but who's going to come before him? Is Clase going to come back? Is he going to look like what he looked before he got popped for PEDs? Who are we even going to have back there? I mean, Ali Perez is really up there. I mean, he's pretty much close. He's close to retirement. We don't know if you're going to have anything close to what he can give us. So, and especially when it comes to the starting pitching, like from a year-to-year basis, well, we don't know. I mean, we thought that Carlos Carrasco was going to come back, and he was going to, coming back from his cancer diagnosis, and having that entire off season and a little bit of extra time. But he's gotten roughed up a little bit lately. So I don't think you can take for granted the kind of pitching that you're getting and just assume that we're going to have 2 to 3 more years of the best rotation in baseball. And it really kind of, especially with Lindor looming, with his contract coming up, and who knows if we're going to move off of him if we realize that we can't sign him long term. It would behoove the Indians to not just let him go for a compensatory draft pick if and when that decides to come up. So, yeah, it really makes you look at this team and say, okay, we obviously don't want to make a rash move and trade somebody who could help us for the next 6-7 years for a rental or just like a month and a year. It really kind of puts them in the pinch to make a big decision and actually go one way and make that decision.
I brought something up, and it's actually been brought up for most of the year, being that 2020 is now the year of COVID and the year that Major League Baseball is going to lose hundreds of millions of dollars. Look, it's no secret, if you're a free agent after the 2020 campaign, you're not getting paid. You're just not going to get the amount of money that you think you're going to get, because Major League Baseball has lost hundreds of millions of dollars based on the fact that there are no fans in the stands. This might even go as far down the road as 2 or 3 more years. And it got me to thinking, okay, Lindor is a generational player. Now, I think he's a tad overrated because he does not hit in the clutch, and 202 average with runners in scoring position, 2 outs in his entire career, which is god-awful. That he's still a top 10 player, but he's a tad overrated because he doesn't deliver in the clutch. Having said that, he's expecting $30+ million a year. The current market in Major League Baseball is one of owners are losing hundreds of millions of dollars a year. This might actually benefit the Indians to where Francisco Lindor might get one of those deals that is kind of a bargain for the Indians.
Yeah, and that's a very interesting point, and I wonder if over the next few years, and Lindor is a prime person to bring this example up for, you have to wonder that if these free agents and these agents that are representing them are seeing across the league that, the money and especially the length, and that's the big killer. And I think for a lot of small market teams, the length on these contracts are the big killer. Because, granted, it wasn't Francisco Lindor money, and it wasn't the kind of money that Lindor will command on the open market. But, you saw a team like the Indians give Edwin Encarnacion a $20 million a year contract for a short amount of time. So if for some reason this happens, it's affecting all the teams around the league. And teams like the Dodgers, the Angels, or the Yankees, the Red Sox, they can't swoop in and completely price everybody else out of the market with the amount of years that they're willing to commit to somebody like Lindor. Maybe Lindor looks at a team like Cleveland and says, hey, this is going to affect everybody throughout the league. I'm not going to get this contract this year. I'm not going to get it next year. Maybe I'll get it the year after. What if you sign a 2-3 year deal? I don't necessarily think that that's the most likely, but you never know. This is such an unprecedented year. You can't say that that's not completely outrageous at this point. If they look at the financials and the teams around the league can't pay for somebody like that, it might behoove Lindor to say, you know what, if I'm not getting that 8-year deal now, maybe I take a lot of money over a short amount of period. Maybe the Dolans and the Indians are okay with that, and we'll reassess the long-term contract later. It very well could happen.
If I'm Lindor's agent, that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm going to look at Lindor is going to be 26, close to 27 when he becomes a free agent after the 2021 campaign. Okay, well, you're not going to get paid until probably after the 2022 campaign. So sign a deal, tear up the final year of arbitration, go to the Indians and say, hey, we're willing to go 3 years, $75-80 million, and go from there. Pay Lindor the money to where he's going to go 21, 22, and 23. All right, now Lindor is going to be 28, 29 years of age. He can still get a 7-year deal at $30+ million a year, $35+ million a year if the money's there.
Yeah, and if that's the scenario that unfolds, that's you got to think that the Indians are probably crossing their fingers that say, hey, this sucks for everybody. Nobody wants to sit there and look at the statements that they're hemorrhaging money, and it's happening across the league, and those small to medium market teams are feeling it the most. But hey, if that opens up an opportunity, that's one way that you can keep him here and extend that window a little bit.
No doubt. Chris Biebel on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. All right, some great news out of the National Football League. A bunch of COVID tests were done between August the 12th and August the 20th, and the great news is 0 zippity-doo-dah positive tests. So whatever is going on in the National Football League without a bubble, it's fantastic. Now, the bad news, the Browns announced for at least the first 2 home games there will be no fans. Same with Pittsburgh, same with Buffalo, same with a number of teams. Yeah, you're going to get a lot of money with the national contracts, NBC with Sunday Night Football, CBS and Fox with their Sunday broadcasts, and ESPN with Monday Night Football, the NFL Network with the Thursday Night Football. You're still going to get a lot of that money divided up into 32 teams, but now all of a sudden everyone's going to be losing money based on the fact there are no fans in the stands for the teams that aren't going to have fans for the first 2 games. That's gonna be really tough to watch a football game in front of an empty stadium, and the fans love, or I should say the players love getting that energy from the fans. it's going to make football weird to watch, and it's going to make the players have to search somewhere else to get that juice that they need to get fired up.
Yeah, you know what, Ron? It's been a little less strange than I thought it was going to be watching baseball. I don't know what it is. Like maybe the combination of, baseball fans, unless it's playoff baseball and there's action happening every inning, it can be kind of a laid-back experience. Like it doesn't sound abnormal to pump a little sound in there. With football, I'm interested to see how that's gonna sound, how it's gonna look, especially. I don't know if these teams have any plans of like putting those cardboard cutouts, but you can't do the big pans like they normally do, the big wide shots, and have it look anywhere close to normal. That will be weird. And it's funny, as you were bringing that up, you were making that statement. It reminded me of watching professional wrestling.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know how many fans of professional wrestling that listen to your show, but they'll know when I say that over this whole pandemic, I like professional wrestling. Not as big of a fan as I used to be, but I'll watch it, especially now when there's basically nothing on and you have a lot of extra time at night. And it is just bizarre. Like it almost takes you out of it that there's no crowd there, or that there's a minimal crowd there. And to me, that's like football is going to feel the same way. And if, to be honest with you, Ron, it's not going to get much better if they only get 10 to 13,000 fans in the stadium. That's going to be like going to whatever, like a Royals game in September when they're 30 games out of it and there's 3,000 fans in the stadium. It's just going to feel like it's empty, even though there's a few people in there.
Yeah, and especially if you have a 70,000 seat stadium and you only got 13,000 people, it's going to look empty as all get out. Now, I'll go flip side on the professional wrestling angle of it, because I grew up in the late 60s, early 70s, and watching studio wrestling. You would have the studio wrestling inside the studios of television stations. I know that Tony Rizzo's dad was a studio wrestling host for the Cleveland market, and I used to watch WIIC, which is now WPXI out of Pittsburgh. Bill Cardell, who passed away a couple of years ago, he did studio wrestling from the studios of the TV station. They'd have the wrestling ring set up, and they'd have 50 or 75 or 100 people gathered around, and everyone would be losing their mind watching this stuff. So it kind of brought me back to my childhood watching studio wrestling back in the day. Yeah, and you want to know, it's funny you bring that up, because to me, watching basketball almost had that little bit of a feel. Like, it's like more enclosed. They don't show the big wide open seats that aren't there. Like that, watching the NBA in this bubble ball, how they've kind of like shrinked the whole scope of everything down, kind of like how they would in the studio wrestling setup. It's funny you brought that up, because that basketball immediately reminded me of watching those old studio wrestling shows. Yeah, professional wrestling has taken a hit, and you brought up the NBA. The NBA is certainly taking a hit as well, and a lot of people are still hemming and hawing about stuff that's going on, and why are these people just sitting out games? Why are they protesting? Just shut up and dribble. And yeah, I mean, look, it's 2020 has been an interesting scenario for a lot of reasons, and why not throw a couple of protests out there as well? It's just been a weird year this year. Yeah, and it just has that feeling of now. I think this has been on the mind of a lot of athletes for a long time, and this is with everything going on right now with the pandemic, and you have things happening across the country, where there's no doubt in my mind that athletes have been wanting to speak on this for so long, and now they feel like either enough is enough, or now they feel compelled. You know what? There's so much going on now that is finally reaching the light of day, that now they feel compelled to make a stand. And to be honest with you, I love the fact that they're doing it, and they need to use whatever they can to make justice happen around the country. And hey, I get that people want to watch sports and they want to say, keep my politics away from sports. But our good friend over at iHeart,
Andre Knott. He had some very interesting words on Twitter last night, and he's been saying this for a long time now about how, yes, we see the tragedies that happen and unfold, and they're horrible and they're awful, and you want to get away from things like that happening across the country, and that's one of the big things we're fighting for. It's one of the big things that athletes and, all of them are fighting for. But the thing that got me the most listening to him was just living that fear. Like maybe when they get pulled over, maybe nothing happens to them, but the fear of wondering what might happen to them, that's another big thing that I think gets glossed over that they're fighting for. So you know what? This is just my opinion, but I am all for and support whatever they do.
You brought up Andre, and I have friends that are producing his show whenever he's on WTAM, and I hear stories about the stuff that is never on the air because they have the 7-second delay system, and the absolute brutality of horrible language that people will throw Andre's way. It's disgusting. It is absolutely disgusting, and that's yet more reason to put some things in light as well. Andre. Whenever he's on 1100, it's behind the scenes. He gets a real earful from the closet racists.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I'm still pretty young in this business, but I've had a lot of great mentors, and Andre is absolutely one of them. I mean, Andre is one of the best people I've ever met, not only just in the business but in life. I mean, that guy is as real as it gets, and he will bend over backwards if you're cool with him, and he'll teach you anything you need to know, especially in a position like mine. But yeah, and for so long, being young in this business and having those mentors and getting advice, they always tell us, especially in the radio business, you can't let people get under your skin. You're going to have people that don't like what you say, and they're going to get outrageous. But yeah, you mentioned it too. When the things that he gets on Twitter, things he gets by the texters, by the callers, where they call into the call screeners, and they want to say what they want to say about Andre, and he's just one guy throughout the entire business. And at some point you can say, oh, well, just out of sight, out of mind. But when you know that it's permeating throughout the country, you know that something desperately needs to change about the mindset of what's going on here.
Amen to that, brother. Hey, before we let you go, high school football, I know it's sacred in these parts in the Mahoning Valley. We love our high school football. It's a Northeastern Ohio thing. Cleveland is going to have their high school football tonight. What are you looking for with the 6-game season, and are you as surprised as I am that the kids are playing high school football this year?
I'm very surprised. I mean, I understand that college football, some conferences are trying, others aren't, and now we're seeing maybe the Big Ten might come back later and try and play later on in the fall, and there's all this confusion. With high school football, and I've seen it firsthand, sure, there are high schools out there that have a lot of resources at their disposal, but those are like the top of the top high schools, and the vast majority of these high schools, I cannot even imagine how far behind they are in ideal situations to be testing. So on that ground, I'm a little surprised that they're going forward. As far as what I'm looking for, I just hope that whatever plans are in place, because I'm only looking at this from afar, from what I can see, and some of the conversations that Munch and I have had with other high school coaches on our shows throughout the last few weeks is that, these plans that they have in place, I really, really hope that they're well thought out enough and that, a big outbreak doesn't happen, because, it's been curbed a little bit with Major League Baseball, but my concern has always been, hey, with Major League Baseball, they're not necessarily in a bubble, but you have a multi-billion-dollar industry looking at these guys who are under contract to make millions upon millions of dollars, and they couldn't even control it. I really, really hope that we're all taking lessons from what we're seeing with the NBA, with Major League Baseball, and I hope that on some level, they can take those lessons and apply them on the high school level. When I say it like that, I almost feel like I'm trying to convince myself, but I'm hoping that nothing happens and we're not, looking at it back 2 weeks later saying, maybe we were a little bit over our heads on this one.
Hey, let me ask you, Cleveland Heights was supposed to be playing a home game tonight against Warren Harding, and they bailed earlier in the week. Fortunately, Cleveland Benedictine, who had someone bail on them in week 1, they and Warren Harding got together, and they'll play on Saturday night down in Mollenkopf in Warren. Is Cleveland Heights playing football this year, or did they get a COVID outbreak?
Last I heard, I thought that they were, but I'm not 100% certain on that. I'm pretty sure they are, though. 'Cause I want to say Munch and I had their head coach on last week, and we were talking about the upcoming season. Okay.
Well, they were supposed to be playing Harding in week number 1, and they were taken off the schedule, and I don't know what was going on. I had speculated, and I thought I heard someone say that Cleveland Heights wasn't playing football, but I could be wrong on that. But they're definitely not on the schedule now. Benedictine is on the schedule.
Right. I mean, if something had changed since, I believe we had them on mid last week. So if something has changed since then, it's very possible.
Yeah. Hey, Beebs, always a pleasure, sir. Look forward to catching up with you soon.
Thanks for having me on, Ron. Always appreciate it.
Brother. Chris Beeble. You can hear him when he and Munch are doing their thing. Chris is Munch's producer, and he chimes in every now and then. You can listen to Munch's show Monday through Friday, 6 to 9 a.m. on 1350 The Gambler. That is up in the Akron and Cleveland market, and I'm pretty sure if you're in Trumbull County, northern Mahoning County, you can get that station. I'm pretty sure you can. I definitely believe that if you are on the Mahoning/Trumbull County and Portage County border, you can most definitely get that station. All right, so Chris Beeble, and many thanks to him. All right, let's get to the phone lines. Thorny is calling in. He had the call of last night's game between Ursuline and Cheney. Thorny, what's up, my brother?
What's happening, Paul? How the hell you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Let's talk a little bit about this 29-7 Ursuline victory. And first thing that came to mind for me was put a huge asterisk on the final score, because it was not nearly as wide as the final score would indicate. Cheney had a couple of hiccups that cost him a few points.
Yeah, absolutely, and I said it all along the broadcast. Pretty much the first 4 minutes of the game, with the turnover and then the short field position after a punt, Ursuline capitalized. They went long play to Reardon, and the other play was a short field. And fortunately for Ursuline, they got up 14-0 and played solid defense the rest of the game. And I will say that Cheney also played solid defense. A couple long plays here and a blown coverage at the end. But I will tell you this: a loss is a loss for Cheney. A win is a good win for Ursuline, and both teams. It was a dogfight. It was a city battle, just like we expected. A Steel Valley Conference game. A lot of fur flying. Saw some freshmen out there that were phenomenal. I mean, there are definitely some good-looking kids out there that are getting looks. I spoke with Sean Haycock earlier today, and I know Iowa State is interested in 3 guys from the Cheney roster right off the bat. I mean, it's pretty impressive knowing how good these kids are. They got Sly's the last name. He's a freshman. The Hewlett kid's a sophomore, and then obviously Clive Wilson's the junior. And let me tell you something. They are legitimate Division I athletes, and I'm talking they're some of the better ones I've seen in the area in a long time.
Last night you talk about the fumble, the first play from scrimmage after the kickoff, and then the other turning point. Cheney has the ball deep in Ursuline territory, knocking on the door, 2nd and goal, 6 seconds left in the half, and Cheney's quarterback, Petrosky, gets sacked. If they score a touchdown there, now it's a 14-6, 14-7 game, depending on the extra point, but you're still a score away from tying the ball game. That was a huge momentum swing for Ursuline going into the second half.
Absolutely, and and I don't remember the kid's name, but number 10 got hurt in the pregame warm-ups, and he was their starting tailback, and they were pretty much in a progression where they had what do I want to call it, a scripted set of plays to start the game, and unfortunately, the guy that came in for him replaced and just got clearance to play literally a week ago. didn't go the right direction from what I understand. So unfortunately, he ran right into Petrosky. Therefore, the ball went to the ground, and that was it on that fumble. But, you still have to be a resilient unit and be able to come back. But very, very impressed with both teams. Lots of talent on the field. I'll tell you what, Matthew Reardon is by far my favorite non-Cheney player in the area. I love Matthew. He just does a great job outside of, my cousin Sean O'Hara over at Boardman. It's going to be a fun year to watch a lot of different kids play and see some things happening in the Steel Valley Conference that we're going to cover all year.
Cheney gets to play Howland, who got knocked off by Canfield last Thursday, and then you'll travel to Austintown Fitch. I mean, there's going to be 5 consecutive road games for Cheney: at Ursuline, at Howland, at Fitch, at Mooney, at Canfield, and then they've finally play a home game at Rayen Stadium against Youngstown East. But that's a tough schedule.
That's not going to be done. They're not playing at Rayen for sure. We already know that.
Okay.
That game is going to be played elsewhere. They're working on the details of it. It will be played elsewhere. So, that's 6 straight road games is how they're going to play. And even if they get in the playoffs, they will try and choose a place if they would get a home game to play a home game. So they will be on the road all year.
Thorny,
no home games?
Are they remodeling Rayen Stadium?
No, unfortunately. Due to COVID, they were downsized as far as some of their staff members, and were not able to take care of the field over the summer. So if you ride by, it's a little bit different look. It's not as well manicured as it has been in the past. And they'll get back to it. They just didn't have the ability to get out there and take care of it this year. So they are definitely playing all road games. And Jennings was a big part of that. Their CEO said they didn't want to take on liability either. So therefore, they're playing road games at both schools. They're playing complete road sets all year, which hurts also because of the bands. My thing is I've been watching some of this stuff and, hearing people talk about the bands in different places. And unfortunately, Cheney and East, they have bands, but their bands are not going to be able to play at all this year for any of the games, let alone the end of the season.
Yeah, that's tough, especially if you're a senior and you've put in all the hard work doing band. And this is going to be my inner band geek in me because I was in the band. Look, I mean, it's an important role. When you're playing, that's part of the culture that makes the Mahoning Valley so much fun on a football Friday nights. And I feel bad for the kids not being able to step on the field this year.
I agree, and I'll tell you what. I know back at Cheney we had a little bit of a rally type drum beat that went on during third downs when we played, and it was really cool to hear that. And unfortunately now you don't get a chance to hear that all year. It was just cool. Like Hell's Bells has played on third down at the stadium at Ohio State, and Penn State has the Nittany Lion Roar over there. So it's one of those things that you just don't get to hear it during the games now, no matter if it's home, road, or whatever.
Chris Emil will certainly get this team ready to go next Friday when they go up into Howland to take on the Tigers. And again, I don't think you push the panic button at all. I think Cheney will. No. I think Cheney will be bouncing back here pretty smoothly, and we'll see what happens. But after Howland, they got a 3-game stretch against Fitch, Mooney, and Canfield. You're going to have to play grown-up football here pretty quickly.
That's it. And I'll tell you what, they got some grown-ups on the field. I'll tell you, this number 18, the Sly kid, my man, I'll tell you what, he buttons his chin strap up about as good as anyone I've seen in the area. He's a 6'4", 185 freshman playing Mike linebacker for them. That's a pretty important position at any school, and to have a 14-year-old freshman at that height, that size, playing it, it's pretty impressive. And he'll come up and hit you. I want to get on the other side of the ball for a minute and go to the other sideline because I didn't really talk about them as much. I love Danny Reardon. He's a great friend of mine. He's got a phenomenal staff over there and a lot of good things going. Mr. Shannon, I'll tell you what, their quarterback, Brady Shannon, he does a nice job, throws a great ball. Don't be shocked if he doesn't land a MAC or even a little bit bigger school offer because he can play. They're just, and I'm losing names right now, but the Begees kid, he has played, a starter on the defensive line for basically 3 years now. And let me tell you something, he doesn't get all the tackles that people think he should, but the linebackers make so many plays because he's taking on double teams every single play. He plays gap sound and literally allows the linebackers to come up and make plays all day long. So it's really good to see that. And then the Boyd kid, the wide receiver number 1, nice, tall, lean body. He does a great job getting there and getting free. And then I will tell you, the sophomore, Brian Frasco's son, he does a very, very nice job, just footwork and offensively just anchoring that offensive line. So it was nice to see how Urson put things together and get ready. And the one thing for both schools is impressed by Urson's part, no scrimmage, getting in that game doing as well as they did. And tough for Cheney not having a scrimmage and not being able to get to where they wanted to be. So a lot of pre-snap penalties, which we expected. A lot of cramps on both teams, both sides. So, that was first game of the year. We expected that as humid as it was last night. And then, just the simple mistakes of, overthrowing a receiver by a yard or two here and there, just the first game type things without a scrimmage. You really would have liked to probably seen some film, both of those teams, and probably would have done some things a little bit different if they got to see their kids.
Thorny, I keep telling everyone year after year after year, in the first couple of weeks of the season, what you need to do as a football coach is go to Giant Eagle, go to Sparkle, go to Rulli Brothers, go to all the grocery stores and buy all the bananas out. And then just give the bananas to your players and say, here, this is going to keep you from cramping.
That's right, bananas, and then bring the mustard to the games, right? I mean, you just got to get it taken care of early in the year. You're exactly right, nail on the head. And it's just year in, year out, it happens the first 2 weeks of the season. It's like clockwork. And back in the old days, we used to always say, "Don't mention the C word. Don't mention the C word." Jason and I last night, first thing we did was, "Hey, let's talk about cramps. They're gonna happen. Let's get it out there in the open and know what's gonna happen." And then, unfortunately, the weather delay was at a tough spot in the game too. I mean, that game was already pretty much sealed its fate at the 11:33 mark. Man, if I'm a coach, I don't know if I'm ready to get those kids back up and back on that field. I'm more concerned with injury and say, hey, let's shake hands and walk away from this thing.
Amen to that. Hey, Thorny, before we let you go, Columbiana County wiped out with all of the football games tonight. East Liverpool and Beaver Local, Columbiana United, Leetonia Southern, Wellsville, Lisbon, all canceled due to Mother Nature. A new cancellation, Mineral Ridge hosting Springfield. That game has been postponed. It will be played on Saturday night. So we are going to get a lot of games on Saturday night in week 1.
Boy, I'll tell you what, I wish I was available. I'd run somewhere and do one for us. But, we're gonna have a great one tonight in Mooney and Steubenville. Can't wait to see that. And, while people are listening in and talking, we're trying to figure out, they said there was a CDC amendment to the guidelines yesterday about cheerleaders at visiting games. We're trying to figure out if that's a rumor, if that was a true story, because there are some schools that we've been searching the internet and doing some help for some friends in different athletic directors in the area. So if anybody knows for sure if that's a fact, boy, we'd hope they can at least call in or text in or whatever they can do to just let us know if that is a fact or if that's pretty much a rumor that they're not allowed to be at these away games. We know the bands are not allowed at the away games, but the cheerleaders were allowed. They're saying it was an amendment that happened yesterday.
Yeah, that's a really good point, and obviously you're trying to get as few people as possible. If you're the visiting team, you're only going to get a certain amount of tickets. I can tell you that. So, hence the reason why I'm so glad the OHSAA lifted the video ban. So now we can have live coverage of high school football, and I think it's a perfect storm. I think a lot of people are now finally realizing what we are all about, and now everyone is, if you don't have a ticket, now you know that you can go to ysnlive.com, pay $9.99 per game, and get as many people to watch the game as possible. I know a ton of bars have now jumped on board.
That's what I'm doing.
All right, Thorny, always a pleasure, sir.
All right, thanks, brother. I appreciate it, Poe.
You got it, man. There you go. It's Todd Thorne on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. All right, we're going to take a time out. On the other side, we'll continue to open up the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline, 330-886-0813. Back in a bit. Stick around.
Hey, my Ohio friends, it's Mike Ditka, and I know great talent and heart when I see it. I can tell you from firsthand experience, there are average real estate agents, then there are true champions. Kelly Warren is one of those champions, and you have it right there in your own backyard. Kelly outmarkets and outsells every agent in the Mahoning Valley. If Kelly can't sell your home at a price and deadline you agree to, Kelly will buy it. Get your home sold. Call Kelly Warren today at 717-2689 or go online to kellysoda.com and start packing.
You can feel it. Baird Brothers' traditional craftsmanship. You can see it. Baird Brothers' timeless style. And you can afford it. And find everything at BairdBrothers.com. Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods is real hardwood, yet beautifully affordable. Floors, moldings, interior doors, bar rails, and stair parts. All within your means and without a care. Start at BairdBrothers.com. You have made it. Your home.
Teams work hard and give it all they've got. Well, so does ours, because 21 Sports and YSN give you extra effort when covering local sports. 21 Sports and YSN, winning coverage of our Valley's teams.
It is a phone-in Football Friday edition of Running Point on ysnlive.com, brought to you in part by MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning. MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning hotline is open, 330-886-0813. That's 330-886-0813. With you for a few more minutes on this Football Friday. And again, we have some cancellations, plenty of them now. The Beaver Local East Liverpool game has been postponed to tomorrow night. Matter of fact, all of the Columbiana County schools are not going to be playing football tonight. They're pretty much done, courtesy of Mother Nature. East Liverpool was to have hosted Beaver Local. Columbiana was to have hosted United. Leetonia was to have hosted Southern. Wellsville was to have hosted Lisbon. All of those games have been pushed back to tomorrow night, joining Valley Christian at home against East Palestine and Lowellville at home against Jackson Milton, that game being played at Struthers High School tomorrow night. Now you can add Beaver Local at East Liverpool, United at Columbiana, Southern at Leetonia, Lisbon at Wellsville. One other game that has just recently been postponed for tonight, the Springfield Mineral Ridge game, has been canceled as well. Mother Nature has laid the smacketh down on all of us, and that is another game that has been postponed, unfortunately. So that is a game that will be on Saturday. So there you go. So that's our. Those are all the games that are going to be taking place on Saturday. Now we've got 7 games in store for a Saturday night in the Mahoning Valley. So as of now, Boardman is still playing Fitch. Edison is still playing Toronto. Liberty is still playing up in Brookfield. LeBray still playing in Campbell. The Steubenville Mooney game is still on. So is Crestview and Champion. So is Girard and Lakeview, Struthers and Hubbard. Let's see. Poland and South Range is still on. So is Salem and West Branch. Warrensville Heights and JFK is still on. Western Reserve is still on against Waterloo, though that game will not be seen or heard on YSN. The reason being that the stands were contaminated and torn down. And, well, there's nowhere to put broadcast booth, nowhere to put broadcast materials. And you can't exactly sit in the stands that don't exist. So, unfortunately, we will not have video or audio from Waterloo tonight for the Western Reserve and Waterloo game. So there you go. But again, the games on Saturday night have now expanded. East Palestine is at Valley Christian. As a matter of fact, all of the EOAC games are going to be played on Saturday night at 7 o'clock. East Palestine will be at Valley Christian. That game is going to be played at Camel Memorial High School. United will venture to Columbiana to take on the Clippers tomorrow night at 7 o'clock at Firestone Park. Southern will come up into the northern part of Columbiana County to play Leetonia. That is a 7 o'clock start on Saturday night. Also, Saturday night at 7 o'clock, the Lisbon Blue Devils will venture down to Wellsville to take on the Wellsville Tigers. One other game that will be played on Saturday night, Springfield will journey to Mineral Ridge to take on the Mineral Ridge Rams. That game canceled tonight. It will be played tomorrow night. So there you go. We have plenty of games that are going to be played on Saturday night, and now a handful of games that are going to be played tonight, including most, if not all, of the Trumbull County games, as well as the some of the games out in Mahoning County. All right, 330-886-0813. Let's go to the phone lines. Thanks for waiting. You're on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline.
Is this Ron Potesta?
This would be. What's up, Ron?
How you doing, man?
I'm good, man.
Man, you've been busy all day.
I'm busier than a one-legged man.
Every time I pick up somebody's car. But see, I enjoyed your interviews and the people you get on, especially this last guy. I mean, you know, because, and I'm going to bring this up and I'm going to leave it alone. I'm going to go into a little baseball. Andre Knott was one of my favorite people, man.
Yeah.
I was hearing, I can't believe I can't say I don't believe it, but I'm like, this is the nicest guy in the world.
Yeah, it's amazing how much abuse he has gotten, which you'll never hear over the air. He's been called plenty of names, the N-word included.
But I also you know, when I look, I said, now see, you're my favorite. I said, you know, Ron Potesta could do that kind of stuff. Ron, because your knowledge is out of this world. Anybody tell you different is because they're jealous of you. Okay, I'm serious. You know,
yeah.
I said, you know, Ron could do this. Ron could do I'd actually be saying that. But they move Andre around. I'm like, okay, he's here, he's there. Wow, unbelievable. Hey, but this pitcher, he's 6'5", 6'6", 165 pounds.
Yeah.
McKenzie.
Yeah, he's a skinny guy. He's a taller version of Pedro Martinez, but he is as skinny as Pedro was.
And I'm like, okay, because I checked him out. We will watch tonight and stuff. But I was doing just a little searching and stuff. But I was looking at pictures. A little trivia for you. I know you know it. Who was the tallest pitcher in the American football and baseball league? Who's the tallest pitcher?
Well, Randy Johnson has to be.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah.
Big unit, isn't that something?
Yeah, he's a big boy.
I was doing that to some people, and they was like, I don't know. Because he's the one that hit that bird, didn't he?
Yeah, well, the bird was swooping in toward home plate, and the ball met the bird, and yeah, that was an ugly ending for the bird.
But I did a little thing on pitchers. I'll do this another time. But it was something how the pitchers who listed as greatest and the best and stuff. I mean, it's people that we know, but just some I didn't really realize. But with Clevenger, man, see now, here's what the Indians, they have a good team, okay? What I mean is everybody's head seems to be in the right way. Clever, they know what he did, and he apologized. An example to me is Greg Allen. You know how they move him up, move him down, move him up. When they asked him, he said, you know what he said? I just have to be ready. That's it.
That's it.
That's it. No whining, bawling.
Nope.
No, none of that stuff. He just said, I have to be ready.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, the guys that go up and down like a yo-yo between the minor league facilities and the major leagues, you know, if you're called on, even the guys that are on the bench that normally don't play, if you're called on to pinch hit, you got to be ready because it's your one and only at bat. You better make it a good one.
And see, like you all were talking, and I guess the big thing with the Indians would be a big bat, I guess, you know, a hitter. Somebody, you know, I don't know who that is out there. The DH now, okay, yes and no. As far as with me, you know, I'm that consistent type, you know. So as far as that, but one of my best people on that team is your first baseman.
Oh, I love Carlos.
Didn't he? Now, what happened? They got rid of him. He left. What happened when he come back?
Well, he was signed as a free agent with Philadelphia, and he spent 1 year with the Phillies, and he didn't like it, and the Indians reacquired him and sent Encarnacion to Seattle. So, Santana's back where he belongs.
And he wants to be there, man. Okay?
He loves Cleveland. He
That's
absolutely loves it.
See, you watch the game. You've been there with them. And I watch and I look at their faces. I look at their actions. I look at when they're going to dug out and stuff. He wants to be there. I'm not saying the other guys don't want to be there, but this guy really wants to be there, man.
No, he does. And when he was acquired from the Dodgers, he hadn't gone up to L.A. yet. He was still in the minor leagues. Right. So, I had an opportunity to see Carlos when he was in Double-A ball. It was my last year in minor league ball. I was with the Pirates Double-A affiliate in Altoona. So I saw plenty of Carlos Santana, and I saw him murder the Altoona team in their sleep on a number of occasions. So pretty much knew that Santana was going to be a pretty fun ball player.
Okay, tonight I know I got the game. What high school is going to be on TV tonight?
Well, all of them are.
They're going to be on television?
Well, I mean, it's all of our games on YSN Live. I mean, all of them are going to be on YSN Live.
Oh, okay. But I think they was advertising one game is going to be on your regular television.
Yeah, I'm not sure which game it is, but I know all of our games are going to be on video and audio, and $9.99 will get you a game, and for those that are more interested in watching the new thing with Mike Ackelson, the Audible, that's going to be all kinds of fun as well. Audible call with Mike Ackelson that we're gonna have that kind of like the Red Zone on Sunday Ticket. Where Andrew Siciliano goes from place to place to place when there's a team in the red zone. That's exactly what we're going to do with YSN tonight.
All right, that sounds good, man. Sounds good. Hey, man, take care.
All righty, sir.
All right, brother.
Always a pleasure.
Yep.
There he goes, Ron, on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. All right, we're out of here. Power Hour is coming up in a bit. We have things to do. I got a place to go. All right, my game hasn't been canceled tonight. Champion taking on the Crestview Rebels, and we will have that game from Champion High School. 7 o'clock game time. We'll probably be on somewhere around 6:55-ish, somewhere in that vicinity, having ourselves a good old time. So watch for yours truly. I will be doing the game. Larry Scragg will be color commentary, and we're going to have all kinds of fun as we bring you the Crestview Champion game from Champion High School. That'll do it for the Phone-In Football Friday edition of Running Point. Talk to you on Monday. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the football tonight. Power Hour is coming up